all over the banter again. We need the banter.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am Rocky. This is Eric. Today, special treat, as we do every month.
Yep.
In honor of Christmas, we are rocking our Christmas sweaters, at least for the try segment. These things are going to get hot, and they're going to get hot quick.
They're getting hot now.
Yes. Well, you also have a hat on, too.
Yeah. Well, you know.
And Coraline, if you could bring in you and Mac as well, show them your festive holiday attire.
Max is pretty cool. Coraline's is the most tasteful. Surprise, surprise. It's like a checkerboard. It's like, you know, you could
beautiful.
You could turn it into a checkers game.
I will say this. This cost, I was at a store with Liam, with my son, and I saw this on the wall, and I had to know how much they were charging for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over, and I was expecting, it's sports apparel stuff. So I was expecting right. $50, $100, just something crazy.
Yep.
And it was $10.
Might have been marked down. You think?
It was absolutely marked down.
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
I have a problem. I have a compulsion.
Mm-hmm.
If I see flyer stuff that is cheap, even if it is hideous, I have to buy it.
I understand that.
So
I get that.
Hence the existence.
I was just channeling my inner ghost of Christmas future here.
Or past. He's dead.
Yeah, but it's the future where it's the ghost that is
fair,
threatening.
fair.
And
They're all
death.
the ghosts are dead. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
They're ghosts.
Yeah, they're beyond death in a way. But
Okay. That was meandering.
glad Yule, everybody.
Yes. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that happy stuff.
Yep.
Today, for our try, in the spirit of the holidays, we are going to try 3 different shortbreads.
3.
And they're going to slide all over the plate when I do that. All right, so we have Voortmans, or Mac, is that how to pronounce it? Voortmans.
Voortmans, as far as I've been able to tell.
Voortmans. Okay.
Okay.
Voortmans. That is from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
We have Walker shortbread from Scotland, and we have Keebler shortbread from the U.S. So like Keebler elves, little guys. Elves. That's appropriate.
Yeah, elves.
for
That's
Christmas, too.
appropriate.
Yes.
Sure.
That's why we did it.
Right.
Not because those were the only 3 they had.
We're not biased in favor of walkers at all. No.
Yes.
Of course not.
So, indeed, to pair with our shortbread, we've given Mac and Eric and myself options on what we want to drink to cleanse the palate, as it were, to wash down the tasty cracker that is shortbread. Eric, what have you opted for?
I'm ready. In both
In 2
ways.
camps?
Yeah, I got
your
some
holiday?
nice tea,
You got your tea?
and just in case, I got a little extra backup dram here.
Fair enough.
The tea is Earl Grey, lukewarm.
Fair enough. I have my coffee as my standby, but my preferred will be Scotch in the highly coveted,
Often sought after.
oft
Sought after.
Yes, indeed. USA Kilts Glencairn glasses. I'll put these down. Mr. Mac, what would you like? Would you like Scotch?
Sure.
All right.
I'll share my tea with you if you want.
For Scotch, I am rocking, or Mac and I will be rocking the Oban. It is a good. It's not too peaty, too smoky. It's not going to distort the flavor, or
Yeah, we tried this
screw up the test.
last month, I think it was actually, and we're pleasantly surprised. It's kind of a nice middle palate, you could say. It's not too peaty, not too sweet.
Mr. Mac, come collect your.
Come and get it. See, now Mac's sweater actually sort of kind of matches his kilt, kind of a little bit. I mean, I just threw that out the window.
It's totes adorbs.
Yeah.
Well, my sweater, darn well better match my kilt.
It does.
This is me.
It does.
This is the Broad Street Bullies tartan that Mac and I designed. We did a special run of it just basically because we love the flyers and we wanted the tartan to go with our flyer stuff. Nothing as hideous as this existed via tartan, so we made up the Broad Street Bullies tartan with black, gray.
You should
and
make Coraline a
orange.
one. She's a Flyers fan.
She's more of a Devils fan, but
Oh.
yeah,
Oh,
no.
okay. Yeah, I did. Oh, now I let that out on air. Okay. There we go. There goes our ratings
Let's say we still hired her.
in the city, at least.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know. All right.
Anyway, shortbread.
Indeed, we are shaggy dogging already.
Yeah.
All right. So, Talanja, let's start with the shortbread. Mr. Eric, which one would you like to start?
I was
with
trying
first?
to wondering that.
Do you want to go oldest to newest or newest
Okay.
to oldest?
Okay. Why don't we try oldest to newest?
The oldest would be the Keebler Company.
The company as opposed to the shortbread.
Well,
Fair.
it'd still be the oldest company.
Okay.
It doesn't give me. I don't have data on
When
which
they
is
started
the
making
oldest as far as
Shortbread
shortbread.
Gotcha.
incarnation.
But
Gotcha.
Keebler.
All right. Start with good old US of A.
And here's the funny part. The traditional, the Keebler one is in a way kind of the most traditional looking because it's the plainest. You know?
It's got that like little crackly-ish on top.
Yeah, just no decoration.
Yeah.
Smells right.
Okay.
Basically, basic shortbread.
A little crumbly.
Yeah, it's very cookie-y.
Yeah.
It's crispier like a cookie,
Yeah.
which isn't surprising. See, now if you don't have a
No.
mug of tea or something, then you're going to get crumbs all over. God, man.
Vacuum it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a shortbread fan, so I'm not going to say no to any of these, you know. But it's okay. It's acceptable. It's not stellar.
Mac, what are your thoughts?
It's a cookie.
Yeah, it's like a
No,
shortbread
I think
cookie.
it's just kind of just a flat. It seems just like general middle of the road. And it's not too one side or the other. It's not blowing my socks off, but it's not like
I feel like if you just put some granulated sugar on top, it'd be a sugar cookie.
it's just a basic cookie.
You know what it reminds me of?
Your country estate in
No.
Aberdeen. No.
If Keebler made a shortbread cookie, that's what it would taste like. Like it literally, it's pretty on the nose for what. Like if you
what
like
you would
Keebler
expect.
cookies, they're like very just regular crunchy cookie. They're not soft. They're not savory. It's just kind of a cookie. It's that in shortbread form. It's not bad. Mac, scale of 1 to 10.
I'm going middle of the road. I'm going to go 5, just right in the.
Nah. Really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, 4.9.
Are you comparing this to-
If we're going to go just general. If we want to go like hard
But-
numbers,
but-
let's go 4.9.
Okay, but we're doing the ratings as we go, not all together at the end?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Specifically, we are rating this as a shortbread cookie. Is this the worst 0 shortbread cookie you've ever had? Best shortbread cookie you've ever had as a 10? That is what your scale is. You're going 4.9.
Just right in the middle
Got
of the
it.
road.
Wow.
Eric.
I'm going to say 3.3.
Okay.
You know why? Because I'm comparing this to homemade, which is...
Depends on whose home made them.
I would argue
But-
that any homemade shortbread is better than store-bought, but that's...
You know what I missed out of that?
What?
You know what I didn't taste? The love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And Keebler was made originally in the city of Brotherly Love.
You just...
Well-
so I just dissed Philadelphia. Sorry, guys.
I'm making up for it.
Okay, good.
In fairness, it is
wanna
difficult
get
to
run out of
have
town.
a full industrial kitchen in one of those little tree holes that the elves work
I always
in.
thought it was subterranean, and the tree was basically just the chimney.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Extensive root system of...
No, you're mixing it up with the Gummy Bears TV show.
Gummy Bears was an awesome TV
Absolutely.
show. Am I right?
Bouncing here and there and
Yeah,
everywhere.
bouncing.
Yeah, Gummy Bears was an
High
awesome
Adventures.
cartoon.
That's
All right,
beyond
all right, all
compare.
right. We're shaggy dogging again.
They are the Gummy Bears.
What is the next old? How old is Keebler then
So
as a company?
the Keebler Company was established by a German descent in
Okay.
1853.
Nice.
Okay,
All
cool.
right.
And they eventually did get bought out by a England company. So maybe their
Maybe
recipes
that's when
changed.
they...
ruined it.
Yeah. Well,
ruined
maybe they didn't make shortbread until they were bought out by an English company.
That's fair. All right.
Okay.
Next.
Next.
So next oldest would be.
Oh, wait, did I say what my number was?
You didn't.
Oh,
We'll get it in post.
4.2.
4.2. Okay, so I'm at the lowest. I'm at 3.3. I'm the least impressed. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe it's my sweater.
All right,
It's bringing
next.
me down.
So next oldest would be from 1898, and that would be Walker's.
Dun,
Walkers.
dun, dun. And
All right.
obviously they're marketing. They got
Yes.
the thistle on there.
That's going to be blurry because it's too far close
Okay.
to the
All
camera.
right. Here. Okay.
It got a little thistle.
I can smell the difference.
Yeah, it
say that.
smells sweeter.
It smells butterier.
Butterier, yeah.
It smells like more butter.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
Sancha.
Sandra? Do you say slancha with cookies? Sure.
I can wish you health any way I want. Now that tastes like actual shortbread.
Yeah, a lot more butter. More butter?
A lot more butter.
A lot more butter. Almost flakier.
I was flakier is what I was thinking. Yeah, it's there's some sweetness to it, but there's also a just a more full-bodied flavor. It's more more complex cookie with vanilla overtones.
I was gonna say, never mind. Yeah, it leaves kind of a like the buttery, fatty
Mouth
kind
feel.
of film in your mouth. Yeah,
Film in your mouth sounds so
It
horrible
does.
compared to mouthfeel. What do you think, Caroline? Caroline is our resident baker, so she's also probably biased. But
and she's also not mic'd, so.
you guys are on screen though, right? Okay.
And she's going to be the polite one and not talk with her mouth full.
It is delicious.
Yeah,
I would take
Mac.
this over the keyboards any day.
Sorry. Yes, I do. I do enjoy this one much better. Definitely has a lot more. You guys already kind of said everything that I was going to say, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the firmness. It's a lot more firmer than the other one. The other one's a little bit more on the softer side, as comparing the two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's. Yeah, the other one's a little drier. This one's a lot, not really moist, but it's not as dry as the Keebler.
I would be willing to bet that there is vegetable oils in the Keebler one and more like actual butter in the Walkers.
Fair. If I knew anything about food, I may agree or disagree with you.
We can
but-
check the labels later. But
All right, Mac, 1 to 10.
So since this is the original family recipe, also since 1898, so I'm gonna go with on this one. I will go with a 7.3.
okay,
Eric,
8.1.
if we're just judging shortbread cookies, I'll say 8.
Okay,
I haven't
Fair
had too
enough.
many that
Fair
are
enough.
like that much better in my life. There's one,
Love you, honey.
one or two brands that but I can't remember the name of the brand. Like I've had slightly better than Walkers before, but then they get into the flavored ones, and I like those better
Does
than
Kelly
the plain.
does
but-
Kelly make shortbread?
No, she just makes the
Springerleys.
Springerle cookies. Yeah,
Those are good too.
she
Springerle
could make
cookies.
shortbread, and it's not that difficult.
Right.
It's very very simple. It's big flour, sugar, and
It's simple, but the
Yeah.
devil's in the details,
Butter.
like
thickness.
yeah,
and,
thickness and mixing versus over mixing the batter and stuff like that. And I guess
Yeah.
sometimes it can burn easily. So and Caroline's nodding her head again. So but the yeah, I mean it's deceptively simple.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, last one. Vortmans.
So the last one is Vortmans.
Yeah.
Yes.
8.8, did I say?
Yeah, 8.8.
I thought you. Oh, okay.
I said 8.1, and Mac was 7 point something, right?
7.3.
7.3.
So Vortmans began in 1951. So they're the new
Oh,
kids
this
on
is
the block.
flavored. You smell that?
It smells like vanilla.
It smells like vanilla.
I was going to say almond.
Yeah. You know, I will say this. I kind of dig the shaping though. It's kind of festive without being too on the nose. I
It
kind of like
reminds me of
the
those
swirl.
those cookies that are in the tins that it has like the variety pack.
Yeah,
That's what it reminds
like
me of.
grandpa's or grandma's cookies. I can't fit it into my mug though. I blame the mug. All right, there we go.
It's definitely flavored.
I think you're right. It's almond.
Yeah. Does that skew the test?
Well, I can tell you what my basic impression is. I'm gonna have to think. I'm gonna have to rethink this a little bit. I like the Keeblers better.
Than this?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
My first reaction to this was, oh, it's a Chinese fortune cookie. Mm-hmm. Yep.
For flavor, yes. For feel, crumbliness, I'm just going to spit things. This doesn't. Like.
It's
I don't know.
it's just a really bland cookie.
Yeah.
It's like it's a kind of cookie you'd expect to have jelly inside. You know, like
Yeah.
you're talking about those generic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spread some
Yeah.
Those
like,
little dollops, whatever in the top.
Yeah,
spread some strawberry rhubarb
right.
jelly on top.
Well, your strawberry rhubarb makes everything better, but
All right.
yeah,
Mac,
I'm really not impressed. Sorry, Canada.
I'm right there.
Go ahead.
I'm not. It's not that we're not impressed with Canada.
Yeah,
Let's just start there.
right.
It's the Canadian cookie that we had. I thought USA was going to be the loser on this.
Just Hamilton, Ontario.
Yeah. All right, Mac. Your score 1 to 10. What was your Keebler Elves one? Your Keebler
4.9.
4.9. Okay. This.
I'm gonna go 3.9.
Okay. You just like cookies.
I do.
Well, I like cookies too.
I am
but
fat, so
You're Eric.
I'm gonna up my Keeblers in retrospect to like
You can't adjust the Keeblers in retrospect. You can't. Your score is your score.
okay. Then
This has to go then below it. if
then
you don't like it as much.
3.5.
Okay.
What did I say for Keeblers? It's down there.
You said 3.3.
Okay. Well, then I mean 3.0. No, I don't know. Maybe even a 2. I don't know. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's not doing it for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 2.
I'll finish it. You know.
No, I wouldn't even say 2. 1.8. I'm not finishing it. It's meh. Like if there was a plate of, if I'm at a holiday party, and there's a plate of this next to a plate of any other kind of cookies, and somebody says, "Oh, that's shortbread," or it's labeled, I would try this. If no one was looking, I would throw it. I wouldn't put it back, but I would throw it out. Sorry, and then I would get something else. Like, no,
Yeah. It's not.
no.
So congratulations, Walkers.
Yes, Walkers it is.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they've been around for so long. It's a reason it's the original family recipe. And
It's
if you
definitely the
need
best.
holiday cookies for your next party, try Walkers.
Or make it yourself. Now I do like adding additives to shortbread, like caraway is really delicious. with
Yeah.
Shortbread and cinnamon, of course.
Yeah,
and
oh
maybe
yeah,
a little bit of vanilla.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Orange. I would like an orange flavor.
A little bit orange
Any-
sauce,
like
yeah.
or lemon kind of flavor. I could see.
But I like
absolutely with this.
the straight up normal traditional also.
Yeah.
But it's
We
all
tried
about
to
it's
do
all about
all-
the butter.
And we tried to do all normal ones. I didn't know that one was going to be flavored. I don't think that hurt it though, because I don't think I would have liked it as regular shortbread either.
And there's no difference between like the Walkers we get here in the States versus the Walkers they get in Scotland.
not that I'm aware of. I got it out of the international aisle, so but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
At Wegmans,
Wegmans.
right?
At the Wegamans.
So it shouldn't
Not
be
the
that hard to find.
Acme. The Wegamans.
The Wegamans.
The Wegmans.
I'm bringing that back.
Say.
Very good. All right. As we continue drinking our scotch. It has been long awaited for Mac and my Tartan Challenge, where we actually name all the books in the background. We've covered them, or I should say, my mom covered them with Tartans. Love you, Mom. And Mac and I went through, and I threw down the gauntlet. I threw down the challenge a couple months ago now, I guess, to see who could name them correctly faster, me or Mac. So, we did recently execute that challenge, recorded it. We got something coming up. We're going to do that at the end of the show. But so we can
wait for it.
get out of these very, very hot acrylic.
Also,
Blinky
I know I'm
sweaters.
dazzling you guys with my awesomeness, and I gotta tone it down.
Exactly. But as a teaser to something you're going to see in 2 hours if you stick around, or an hour and a half, we're going to play a little teaser bit that Coraline put together.
Trailer, if you
A
will.
trailer. Thank
Trailer.
you. Thank you.
Like a
Teaser
movie
bit trailer. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of those things. We're very, very technical and professional with the way we run our show. Anyway, Coraline's going to hit that. We're going to disrobe tastefully and then be back in 1 minute.
We'll
or
be
less.
right back. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. 2 very special contestants, and they're going to compete to see who is the Tartan champion and who is the Tartan chump. Correct name, correct color variation, and as quickly as possible, gentlemen.
Wallace Red muted.
Oh, I'm sure he did a pretty good job. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. Firefighters Memorial.
The winner, and new, and probably only, Tartan champion.
we're back. And still drinking. He was doing that the whole time. It was very, very distracting. So, we're back. Now, boys and girls, remember, at the end of the show, we're actually going to go into the full Tartan challenge. It's like an 8-minute video we put together for you. So stick around for that. We're going to be doing that at the end of the show. With that being said, you know the drill. Load in your questions. Mac will ask them. Eric has a list of some preloaded questions from previous shows and that people submitted on the interwebs. And that being said, Mac.
Quick shout out to Clan Claws, by the way.
Yes.
There was a question about Eric's hat. Is that a actual tartan or is that a...
That is the best tartan that CVS Pharmacy had to offer. I couldn't resist picking it up when I found it. So, yeah. I don't know. What would you call it?
I don't know. It's almost like Cunningham-esque.
Yeah. It's probably...
Yeah, that's probably be the closest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, but it's Cunningham-esque.
But it's pretty cool.
It's Cunningham's bastard coat.
It was the only one I saw. This is last year, so good luck finding it. But
yeah.
Actually, a real tartan Santa hat would be kind of cool.
I don't disagree.
Interesting. Okay.
Any other questions?
We'll have Eric start off. I'm catching up with
Sure.
all three platforms.
Yeah, and,
yeah. We're actually, today, we got to figure it out. We're actually streaming on Twitch, on the YouTubes, and on Facebook simultaneously. We are simulcasting. Our show is going global. We had somebody from Russia already on, on the YouTubes? Saying they're watching from Russia. That's freaking awesome.
We had Russia, Australia. We've had quite a few countries
Nice.
watching us.
So, das Badania and good day.
Good day, mate.
Good evening.
Throw another shortbread on the Barbie? I don't know.
How else can we insult your culture?
Yes, let's be as stereotypical as possible. Anyway.
They can get us back.
So, if you guys see in the comment section, it says, like, from YouTube, from Twitter, whatever, depending on what platform you are on, not all of them do it. You're going to see other people's comments from different platforms than yours.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Okay, so while Mac's getting set up, I'm going to start off with Pierre Arpin, or Arpin. Might be Arpin. I think he's in France.
I think he's Canada, actually.
Or is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's a customer.
Would you wear a kilt with Narghile to a job interview? Now, assuming you're not going full whole hog with ghillie brogues and stuff, but would you wear an Argyle jacket and a kilt to a job interview?
I've thought about this before. I've kind of struggled with it. It depends on the job. It depends on how... There's a lot of factors involved. It depends on the job. It depends on how badly I want the job, and I'm willing to change who I am for the job. It depends on what the dress code of the job would be. Depends on if you know the people or not, and all these different kind of things. It also depends on how often you wear a kilt in your own life, like daily. Do you wear it every single day, and that's just who you are? Or do you wear a kilt, once a month or just on special occasions? So it really depends, and I hate to kind of give a, answer, but it depends.
You're not copping out?
No. If it was a manual labor job, and I wanted to be memorable, and I could dazzle them with speech as well, and I wanted to add the shock value of it, sure. If it was a job here, absolutely wear a kilt to the interview.
Worked for me.
You'd be shocked how many... Well, you were just kind of... It was a weird interview process with you.
Yeah, but I was kilted.
Yes.
So.
But the... you'd be shocked how many people interview here and don't wear kilts, which kind of always surprises me. Like, you're interviewing at a kilt company. You should probably prove that you own a kilt.
Maybe not all of them have them, but
I
think they'd try.
Well, the ones that do, I thought would. But anyway. I digress. If you're going for a job on Wall Street, no. If you're going for a job, the one thing that I've always thought was very, very underutilized. If you're going for a job, here's an example, as a car salesman, I would probably wear a kilt, which would give me the chance to explain to the manager, whoever's interviewing you, that you're going to use it as a sales tool to be able to break down the initial discussion barrier.
Right.
Because if you're wearing a kilt, people are going to want to come up and speak to you and talk to you about it. And therefore, it's going to be an easy, change over to, tell me about your family and what brings you in here today. And it's a lot, all the barriers are down if the person's already talking to you about something they think is cool. You will potentially go the opposite direction with some people who may say like, oh, I don't want to talk to the guy in a dress. But
Yeah, maybe. But
if you have a staff of 20 salespeople or 10 salespeople, that'll help you stand out. So,
yeah, I'd say that if there's a performance aspect to the job, then you're showing that you can really be out there and show confidence and also some personality. You got some moxie. So I would say that if the job entails that, then why not? And again, yeah, it probably depends on how badly you want the job. I would not expect a 20-something who's trying to find a job to make sure they can make rent to necessarily take the risk if they're worried about getting a job with a regular corporation or something. But if you're in the middle of your career path, and you want to show some personality and some confidence, then it could be very useful.
I would say this as well. If you currently have a job, if I'm going out, I'm living paycheck, or I'm living on nothing. I have no money, no job. I need a job to be able to make rent next month. I would not wear a kilt necessarily because it would be some kind of weirdness potentially if you're that desperate for a job. If you are in a job that you like, but or you find reasonably acceptable,
I think I know where you're going.
and you want to see what else is out there, and you like wearing kilts, and you think it would be awesome to wear a kilt every day, then I would start looking for other jobs. Take some personal time, schedule some interviews, wear a kilt to the interviews, and if something better comes along that will let you wear a kilt, and that's really what you want to do every day, then you're golden. But you're not risking your current job doing that.
Yeah, I guess do you feel like you're on the defensive or on the offensive?
Very good way to put it.
If you're vetting the company as to whether you're going to actually get along with them, then maybe the kilt would be a good way of nipping problems in the bud.
That's a good point too, because interviews go both ways. It's, the company is interviewing you to see whether you would be a good fit with their organization. At the same time, you should be vetting them and saying like, hey, do I like the guy who's going to be my boss?
Yeah.
Do I like the company culture? Do I believe in the product? Am I willing to accept the salary that they're willing to give? Will it fulfill me, emotionally? Will I like the job?
Assuming you have the choice.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
But you're vetting them as well. Even if you don't have a choice. If you go into Wawa and McDonald's and other, jobs like that,
McJobs.
you're still vetting them. Like, does Wawa have a retirement package? Do they have health benefits? Do they have whatever for whatever salary or hourly rate that they're offering?
Is your shift manager a jerk?
Yeah. That's fair too.
Yeah.
So that's my long-winded answer.
Okay.
Of non-committal, but I still think I committed reasonably well.
I like the defensive or offensive.
Yeah, I think that was well precisely put. Succinct.
Thank you very much. Got anything there, Mac? I see the duck is up.
Oh yeah,
the duck is up.
I think the duck's been up there.
The questioning duck.
Yeah, the question duck.
We gotta name it.
We've got a few things coming in from all over here. So we have Dominic on the YouTube asking or saying he works in a shop that has a lot of hairless exotic skins, gator, ostrich, etc.
I thought he was talking about us.
Wow.
And has made himself a sporran out of Cape buffalo.
Nice.
You got to show those pets who's boss.
That's awesome.
He was wondering what our thoughts are on hairless exotic sporrans.
There's certainly a precedent for it. I think basically people have been making sporrans out of exotic materials ever since the British Empire expanded to places where those materials could be found.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Yeah, lions and boar and zebra and all kinds of stuff. I mean,
boar's in Scotland though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm like there's other there's like an African
type of boar,
wildebeest.
Yeah.
Fair. I'll say that. But so
zebra.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, it's cool. I mean, it comes down to I think a lot of time keeping the design a little simpler, so you're showing off the skin and how cool the skin is. I think if you have a lot of ornamentation on the sporran, I think you're more likely to see day sporrans made out of exotics than dress sporrans, is what I'm saying. Because if you're covering it with a whole bunch of ornamentation, then you're going to lose some of the effect. Or like some of the, like, what's her face with the roadkill?
Yes and no.
She doesn't always have tassels on her designs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's, L&M used to have an earth range of sporrans that was like crocodile, like a lot of faux skin, but different animal skin, like different like crocodile or like stingray or like weird stuff, exotic things. And that was they had it on hunting sporrans and on dress sporrans as well. And you just pair a cantle that's a cool cantle with it, and it still stands out. I mean, we still like in the shop. I'm just thinking to our experience, we sell a lot of leather dress sporrans.
Yeah.
From an aspect of either the cantle's really cool, or it's even the ones that aren't. It's just a plain kind of cantle with leather.
But that's kind of what I'm
dress.
saying. I think the more exotic the pelt or the skin, the more likely it is that you'd want to keep the ornamentation simple to kind of show it off.
Yeah, but my point is, it's
a balance
for leather dress sporrans.
Yeah,
we sell very simple ones and very, I shouldn't say exotic, but our like Fighting Stags one. They sell
ornate.
Ornate. They sell both reasonably well. So I don't think the skin would affect that on a dress sporran. That being said, I can see it more, like you're alluding to, on a day sporran or on a hunting sporran.
Yeah, I think there's other cool stuff too. Like if you do like a pin closure with that skin, like using a claw or a piece of antler or a piece of bone or something as the pin closure could be kind of an awesome thing to do too. There's a lot. There's really no. It's not like there's rules about what you can and can't make a sporran out of. I mean, the design will be less formal or more formal, less traditional or more traditional. But I think they're awesome. The ray skin's got me thinking. I think a ray skin or a shark skin could be kind of interesting. Ray skin is really tough.
Yeah.
Ray skin could be cool.
I can say that.
But I want to see pictures of what he's doing now. I want to see what he made. That's awesome.
Indeed.
Yeah. So keep it up. That's all I'm gonna say. Keep it up.
Yeah. Experiment, especially if you're making it yourself. Try it, experiment, do different things. Mock it up, see what you like, and throw it out there. Get feedback from other people. Go to different kilt groups.
Yeah, I didn't establish if he was making them just for his own enjoyment or if he was trying to sell them. But I think there would be a market if you set up an Etsy store. You could probably sell a few of them. Yeah. But make sure you're pricing your labor appropriately. That's the only thing.
Well, the skins are going to be crazy expensive too.
He might have an in. Basically, he said if he's there where he works, maybe he gets some at a good price.
Are they alive or are they?
They were at some point.
I'm going to end this discussion before I go off the rails. Okay. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I want to see a picture. It sounds awesome.
All right, Mr. Mack.
All right, since we're on sporrans, we have, where did it go?
Oh no, we lost our sporran.
I think I just rotated the screen too far.
I do that voice too much.
The quasi-Kermit?
My quasi-Kermit, yeah.
Fair enough.
Where did it go?
It's one part Looney Tunes character, the stupid panther, or the stupid mountain lion character.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to catch him and eat him. That guy,
Fair.
But got it?
Yep, got it now.
Okay.
Found it. It's right in front of me. I just looked past it.
We got a lot more flow coming into the interface, I'm assuming.
Yes, we do. We got a lot more coming in right now.
Thanks for your patience.
Especially with talk of rattlesnakes horns. So
why not? With the rattles as the tassels?
Sure, we can.
You have to have a pelt. Well, I guess that's if it's 8 inches wide or 7.5 inches.
Depends on the rattlesnake.
Yeah, I was going to say it should still be enough for circumference.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so we have Eric on YouTube asking, does a fancy sporran chain have value, or is it just for show?
Does a fancy sporran chain have value? Depends on the value you put on it.
Maybe he means meaning.
No, it's just for show. It's really what you want to do. There are some that have meaning, there are ones that like Masonic links or there's little thistle links or whatever, or filigree links versus the regular plain, flat link chain. Yeah. So there's different types of chain. 99.999% of them are just going to be the standard flat link chain, but yeah, you can do something different with your sporran chain within the bounds of good taste.
Yeah, I think that it's if you want to craft one, then go for it, have fun with it. If you're looking at purchasing one, then just make sure that if it has an insignia on it of some kind, make sure it's something that you don't mind representing. I mean, the most common one we see is the Masons have a design of a sporran chain that has the little plackets with the Masonic compass on it, and the thistle, like you mentioned. It's kind of extra bling for bagpipers a lot of time these days. Like a pipe major might have something like that. I've seen, I think it goes at least back to the early 20th century, but I'm not completely sure on that. I know that they were popular enough that I've seen them in some photos and stuff. But they're it's a little extra something something. So there's no. It might have meaning. It might not.
Shocker, in Highland wear, men try to one up each other.
Yeah, seriously.
That would never happen.
I'll say this: there's no technical advantage. It's not like more comfortable or more durable than a regular Sporran chain or a Sporran strap. So it's just a little extra bling
And more money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Or in the case of people who just want to do it themselves, it's just more fun. It's a way to customize your outfit for yourself.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Mr. Mac.
All right, so we've got some questions coming in about are there any of this tartan? We have Corporal Mac asking, are there any Nordic or Scandinavian tartans? And we just got one in on the YouTube as well from the Pseudo Piper asking if there are any German tartans.
Are there German tartans?
We're a little biased in this area.
Who's got two thumbs and made two German tartans? This guy. Sorry, that was horrible. The yeah, there are different tartans for different countries around the world.
Yeah.
I believe there's a Nordic or there's. I'm trying to think, Mac. Is it not the Northern Lights or? My brain's like kind of fried on that one.
What's the Polish one? Isn't that same?
There's a Polish one, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not thinking
didn't that
Nordic.
same person do
The International Tartans guy?
Yeah, he did a few.
Dave
I think.
Yeah,
McGill.
there's a couple of tartans out there based on national colors, you know, like flag colors. But if I'm just jumping in real quick,
Yeah.
If the question is there a Scandinavian tradition of tartans or tartans that came from Scandinavia? No. Basically, we do think that they had. They may have had a semblance of plaid type fabrics. They may have intermingled their threads, but most of the archaeological evidence so far is for solid color clothing, not so much mixed patterns like the Celts did. I'm using the term Celts loosely, just for all those who care. So essentially, yeah, you can have Nordic ancestry like I do, and you just go with tartans that you like or have some meaning for you.
I would say
the
this.
German tartans, though, you'll look out because of Rocky's heritage. He actually designed the two that he did. So there is actually a documented, registered couple of different German tartans.
Yeah. I've often said tartan is Scotland's gift to the world. And once you open the tartan Pandora's box, it's difficult to put it back in. We have customers all around the world. Scottish companies have customers all around the world. We're in the U.S. I am mostly German, and I started a freaking kilt company. It's once you get bitten by the tartan bug, so to speak, you just you get obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. Earlier in the the history of the company, I decided that I wanted to wear a German kilt, and there is a German national that it was designed by a guy named Eichelmann. It's officially registered as Eichelmann number 5. I got a kilt custom woven for me in that tartan and didn't like it. It was too red, black, and gold, or red, black, and yellow. So it never really, I had it, and I just never loved it. So after wearing it for 6 months, a year, whatever it was, I decided that I'm going to try my hand at designing a German tartan as well. So I designed German heritage as well as the German American tartans. So yeah, you don't have to have Scottish lineage to wear a kilt. You don't have to just represent Scotland wearing a kilt. It will, to 99.9% of the population, it will scream Scotland, or it will scream Celtic or Gaelic.
Right.
It will not say Norwegian or German. It'll just say Scotland to most people. But it's all about the symbolism, what it means to you. And if you get in a discussion with them, you can explain what the tartan is and what it means and why you're wearing it and that kind of thing. And it just adds a little different dimension to the discussion.
Let me segue a tiny bit here. First of all, you did use the German flag colors still for your design. You just toned it down, right?
I used 2 shades of red. I used the bold red as an accent stripe, and then a darker blood red for the main color, and then black, and then the gold was more of a muted yellow kind of gold color.
You kind of made it. You toned it down so it was had more depth to
Yeah.
it. Is how I'd like to express it. I mean, it's just it's easy to use flag colors and wind up with something that's kind of obnoxious because it's like bright primary colors, which leads to my segue. One of our viewers on YouTube, who goes by Matazana Mafia Fedora, was asking, what do you guys think of the so-called English kilt? This is the one that has the English flag as the design on the fabric instead of being made out of tartan. And it's made by an English company. I think you know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts on that? That's an example of what we're talking about with flags. So what do you think?
There's a few companies that make flag kilts to varying degree of flag. There's a Scottish company does the saltire in the pleats. So each pleat is a different section of the saltire. When you move, it moves. It's actually woven in the fabric.
You have an X on your butt.
Exactly. It's
interesting.
It's a target. So that is one way to do a flag kilt. And there are other companies who will take things much more literally, where there's not a kilt made out of a flag, but a kilt made out of flag elements, where there's like a utility kilt with, red and white stripes and then a big, blue field with stars as the front apron or something like that. It's a bit on the nose. There's a company in the UK, I think they're in London, called Kilt. And they do a lot of very avant-garde kind of kilt fabrics done in a pretty traditional style, just weird fabrics. And they have a Union flag as a kilt. It's well done. I don't know if I'd wear it.
No.
I'm just stepping over the whole discussion or rat's nest discussion of flag etiquette and sitting on the flag or not wearing underwear underneath the flag and wiping things on the flag. I'm just going to sidestep that whole thing.
Please.
You're welcome. You're welcome for even bringing it up, and I'm going to sidestep it. And there's another company, English Kilt Co.
English Kilt Company, yeah.
They do a white kilt with a red St. George's cross
of St.
on
George
the front with some like 3 embroidered or
Plantagenet lions
or painted on English lions. It's not for me. It's
a kind of, it feels like it's something you'd have as a design for like a sweatshirt, like going to a football match, and then you say, well, I don't want this as a sweatshirt. I'll make it into a kilt. Because like I imagine the design with the English flag and the lines and stuff up here on like, whoa, go, but then let's put on a kilt instead, and it just looks weird because again you got these red crosshairs right over your junk, and it's not aesthetic. It's just
okay. If I traveled back in time and had to wager, or if I traveled back in time and saw it, or had to wager how that came to be, I would say this: picture in your head 2 or 3 fashion designers at New York's Fashion Week, drunk, discussing what they're going to do to one-up the Scots is make a kilt from the English flag. And I don't know, that's kind of how I envision that coming to
I'm
be.
with you. I feel like it's a kilts are cool, but I'm not comfortable wearing it because I'm English, not Scottish, but maybe I can, they're trying to sell it to those people.
They're trying too hard with everything they did. They tried too hard. They made a Sporran
way too on the nose.
With the cantle on the dress Sporran was actually castellated, where it like graduated up. It was just a very odd shape. It didn't work.
Yeah. But it's definitely a fashion forward thing. Are you doing the kilt as a fashion forward? I'm going to put men in skirts, kind of be sexy, different, and modern, or are you going to be traditional? And this is definitely in the former category, and some people do it well. There are plenty of contemporary modern kilts that are cool. I don't think flag kilts are cool at all. They're just, I don't know. Limited use? Like, again, maybe wear it to a football match or something,
you can
but
wear
even
it,
then, it's just
you
kinda,
can wear it wherever. It's one of those
just not my
things
thing.
where I feel like they want to make a statement and
Absolutely.
have a strong, visceral thing.
Yeah.
And it's either you love it or you hate it. And it's, to me, I think the best way I can sum it up why I don't like it is it's too on the nose.
It's too on the nose. I agree.
I could have made a Flyers kilt with a big honkin' Flyers logo right over the center. I could have done, just black and orange in a Rob Roy check where it's like a checkerboard and it's just black and orange. You're welcome. But I didn't. I wanted to do something that looked traditional using those particular colors.
Yeah.
It just speaks to the heritage aspect more and blending that with my normal sports fan
Well,
life.
I think it speaks to the accomplishment of tartan as an art form. You realize
That's
that
fair.
tartan is an accomplished art form for making this stuff, so you're going to build on that as opposed to just tearing it down and forgetting about it. You know, I think I'm being a little bit surly with this.
Yeah, I don't think they're.
apologize, but
In the case of like Skilt, I don't think that they're tearing it down and forgetting about it. They're literally they make out of like upholstery fabric or curtains or like rose denim fabric, like denim fabric with roses.
this is
printed
totally
all over it. It's an art to them to do something very
be
very different.
yeah, so you can be cock of the walk, as it were.
Yeah, it's
So you stand out in a crowd.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's different reasons for it, and
Yeah.
I'm assigning reasons and rationale and thought where there may be none or there may be some. I don't know.
But it's all it's all about your style. So if you like them, if you don't like them, let us know. I'm curious to hear what people think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Mack.
Since we're still on the discussion of tartans, we had one come in on YouTube asking, "Does Ireland have any historical tartans?"
Yeah.
Yes.
Depends on how far back you want to go.
Yeah. The Tara Tartan is quasi historical esque, although here's a question for you, Mac. You may know this. Don't answer yet. Let me ask Eric first. What tartan is the Tara Tartan based on? Meaning, it is literally another tartan. The thread count is effectively
I
the
used to know
same.
this.
You just tweak the colors.
I
you
used to know this.
Change red for green and blue for whatever, and blah blah blah, and you have Tara / Murphy.
Yeah. And I can't remember for the life of me.
Mac?
I say the one that I'm wearing right now is very close to.
Not going to look up your kill, I promise.
I've got the McLean Duarte.
That is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. I knew it was Mac something.
It
Now
was Mac Michael.
but the other more historic Irish tartan is
Ulster.
Ulster. Yep. Which was found. The sample was found in a trunk in an attic, as I recall. Right. It was a. They think it.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a garment that they think was dates back to like maybe the 18th century. But
It's either that or there was another one. I thought that they found Ulster in a bog or something, which is
I see.
No.
That's what I remember was that story, and that's
Uh,
why there's like 3 different versions of it. 'cause
yeah.
the
This is
one-
where the
Okay,
history
well,
of it gets so muddy.
That I
It's-
think that's something
in the
else. I
bog?
think this was what I'm remembering was it was found in somebody's house, and they thought it was like a remnant of one of the original Ulster Scots, one of the original colonizing families.
There's a pair of trews, right?
It might have been a pair of trews,
I
yeah,
think-
and they
I
found
think,
it
don't quote
in
me.
this people's, like in an old family footlocker.
Yeah.
And oh wow, it's the Ulster Tartan now. So that's what I remember, but I like fact checking because there's a lot of information. I get confused.
From what I'm seeing, the Ulster Tartan is an interpretation of a fabric dug out in 1956 from an earth bank on a farm
Okay.
in the town of Flanders.
Okay. Then does it say anything about the 1960s in there? Because for some reason, the version of the story I'm hearing in my head had something with it being found in the 1960s.
Thank you for the Googles, and thank God we were able to fact check things quickly,
Yeah. Well,
Mr. Mack.
I'd try to follow up on it afterwards. But
Yeah, no, we would have edited it or made
other-
ourselves.
The garment they think was trews and a tunic, so that's where the trews come in to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I knew it was trues. But with this kind of goes to the point where even as much stuff as we know, or there's always different stories out there for different things. So we try to be as accurate and factual as possible. And if we don't
if I
know 100%,
Yeah.
then I'm 100% correct. We'll always say that in the videos. We don't want to be, just throwing out false data.
If we don't know, we'll tell you. We'll
Yeah.
tell you we don't know. And insert Irish lecture A. Irish kilts basically go back to the turn of the 19th to the 20th century. They were an outgrowth of the various national movements, especially the Gaelic Athletic Association and
St. Enda's School? No,
St.
it's,
Yes, St. Enda's School. It was the first indication of them was that people were using them as part of sport team stuff with the Gaelic sports, and then Endas did it as a school uniform. The idea was they were trying to get away from English stuff and arrive at a national identifier kind of garb. And even though, they weren't trying to say they were Scottish, they were trying to say, well, this is closer to a separate identity than if we keep wearing trousers. So they kind of invented the idea of wearing kilts, but they made them solid colors. So they had blue for St. Patrick, and they had green for Ireland in general, and then they had saffron because saffron is said to be a popular dye for lenya and other garments in medieval Ireland. It was considered to be the color of the kings because saffron isn't necessarily cheap. So they started off with those three colors, and then tartans came in later. So the history of Irish tartans is actually very recent. The history of Irish kilting in general basically goes back to the nationalists around the turn of the century.
Yeah, the Ulster Tartan is the oldest Irish tartan.
But it's only Irish because it was found in Ireland.
Correct. Frankly speaking, it probably came from Scotland. And then they just called it
likely.
that one because it was a fashion-y kind of tartan.
Yeah, and it was
found.
glommed onto by the Ulster Scots. So if you are
Yes.
if you are not an Ulster Scot, if you're not an Ulsterman or an Orangeman, you may not be as interested in it.
I wasn't even aware of that much, so.
Yeah, I think it's more of a
No, but the Irish county tartans, which are what are much, much more common today, only go back to 1995 with Polly Wittering and the House of Edgar designing all those, and the Irish National Tartan. So, yeah, Irish tartans traditionally aren't very, very old. There's also several Irish name tartans, like Kirkpatrick, Ford, a few others, Fitzpatrick. But those are, again, around the mid-90s when Braveheart came out and there was the explosion of people really wanting to wear kilts and explore their Celtic ancestry and their Gaelic heritage and all that kind of stuff. They jumped into it, and all the mills in Scotland kind of got the bright idea and smart idea of, okay, how do we tie this in? So several mills started doing, okay, we're going to do the Irish, a few different Irish names like the Scots have. That never really caught on. Lochcarron specifically did the Irish provinces, the 4 provinces of Ireland, and that caught on with very, very limited appeal. The one that really stuck was House of Edgar's Irish County Tartans, and those are still probably by far the most popular today.
and they're
still.
beautiful. I would, at the risk of being simplistic, I'd say they do feel Irish. They have a certain warmth to them,
Yeah.
a certain earthiness to most of the designs, which is just it feels right. So I think they did nail it.
Yeah, I agree.
But so hopefully that answers the question.
Yep.
Shaggy dog. We need a Shaggy dog graphic, Coraline. Can you make a Shaggy dog graphic, please?
Right now, quick, insert it. Mac.
All right, so we have Matthew on Facebook. He's asking, and it's a historical question, but it's one that I think we've seen pop up on different occasions because some people may have the wrong opinion or the right opinion on this. But for Blackwatch Tartan, have you heard there being any negative feelings since as they fought against the Jacobites? Or are there any other tartans that might raise some similar negative opinion? He's concerned about if he purchases one, he doesn't want to be caught in crossfire that
Yeah, understood.
he's not necessarily part of.
Understood.
Right.
I would say this, respectfully. That's an American view on it, period. Americans are much more concerned about doing it right or not offending somebody or whatever than the Scots or the Irish or the Brits in general, are. It's just, it is what it is. There's no hard feelings per se. We've gone into this a little bit. I talked to a few people who are either Irish or from Ireland who now live in Scotland about, hey, what are your feelings on wearing the Blackwatch tartan, in Ireland kind of thing. And their response was, yeah, it's not a thing. That wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
Period. You're looked at as Scottish if you're wearing a Blackwatch tartan in Ireland.
What they see is a kilt.
Yeah. They don't see we are, as Americans, not we, but in the general, we are associating more meaning to certain things than Scots would. We're associating less meaning to certain things than Scots would. It's just different cultures. You're not growing up in it. I didn't grow up in it. Eric didn't grow up in it.
Yeah.
So
Only a little.
we had to learn all of this stuff. But it's not it's not how it is viewed. So I wouldn't put too much stock in offending someone wearing the Black Watch tartan or wearing a tartan that's going to offend someone outside of either military tartans or tartans that are associated with a certain group, Masonic tartan, things like that, where members of that group, if they're diehard Masons or diehard law enforcement, and, you shouldn't be wearing that because you're not a police officer, you're not a Mason, that kind of thing. But in general, there's none that are going to have that, that amount of meaning. And most people who aren't a police officer, who aren't a Mason, who aren't, insert group X here, are not, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other tartans to wear. So just pick a different one.
I would say the slight exception would be that some people do bear grudges either quasi-seriously or just kind of good-natured ribbing against the Campbells. Part Campbell here, by the way. And, yeah, I know. Now I can't be on the show anymore. And Black Watch, of course, is a tartan associated with the Campbells, the Campbell tartan. And so sometimes you'll get that, oh, you dirty Campbell kind of a thing. But it's also so generic, Black Watch is, it's not really a thing. Yeah. I would say consider a different tartan just for the sake of doing something that is a little more interesting, a little more exciting, a little less wedding rental.
To use my other phrase, it's not a thing. Don't make it a thing.
Don't make it a thing.
It's not a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless, if your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather died at Glencoe, then, maybe it's a thing for you. But, it's,
Fair.
Yeah. But for the most part, you're fine.
Mr. Mack.
All right, so we have Carl asking.
Hey, Carl.
This is still on Facebook.
Cool.
Asking a question on the stone on the brooch or fly. The stone on the brooch for the fly or a skin dew, should it have a color that matches in the tartan? Because he is one that's purple and it's for his birthstone, but he doesn't have that color in the kilt. So is it something that should be matchy or not matchy?
Carl, how dare you? How dare you, sir? It doesn't matter at all.
Nah.
Pick the color that either is your birthstone. Pick the color that your wife likes the best. Pick a color that matches your kilt. Pick a color that doesn't match your kilt. Pick one with no stone. It doesn't matter.
Right.
That is strictly personal preference.
Right.
Traditionally speaking, you'll be Cairngorm or something like that, where it's going to be a yellow stone found in the Cairngorm Mountains. 99.9% of skin dews are not going to have a authentic Cairngorm stone because that would be way too expensive. So just wear the color you like. There's no hard and fast rule of what's acceptable or not.
Yeah, and we tend to be more matchy with colors and things in this country than they do in Scotland with this stuff, or really in a lot of Europe in general. In fact, a lot of the rest of the world don't worry about color matching quite the same way, or don't view it quite the same way we do in this country. So yeah, I mean, if that has personal meaning for you, then that would be all the more reason to stick with it and not worry about it. And yeah, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, which is cool. The only really traditional stone for a skin dew would be something like Cairngorm, which is basically quartzite, which was originally mined out of the Cairngorm area. It was a native stone, and surprise, surprise, it was not a valuable stone. It was just what was available. You didn't have like people importing rubies into the Highlands in the 17th, 18th century. So it's really all about just what the meaning is for you. Yeah.
Agreed.
If your wife says, "Oh my God, that's so tacky," then maybe you change it for that reason. But
what accent was that?
I don't know. I think it was Monty Python. There's a penguin on the telly. I think it was a Monty Python.
Insert penguin clip art right there.
Exactly.
There's a penguin on the telly.
Yeah. You don't know that sketch? No.
No.
He's not a Python.
No, I liked the Python movies. I liked limited amount of the show sketches. The parrot sketch, obviously, hands down, the best TV show sketch. Mm-hmm. The rest of it, I was not that big of a fan.
Okay. Fair enough.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, you don't have to apologize. It's okay. It's all right. Moving on.
Did I hurt you?
No. Okay. Fine.
Great. Now I'm going to hear about it later.
You're sleeping on the couch. Go ahead, Mac.
All right. So we have Matt asking. Well, first he starts off with thank you to Rocky for answering his question he had sent in this morning. This is his first time wearing a kilt formally, and that's tonight.
Cool.
Would you recommend wearing a narrow bow tie with his PC or go with a wider? And he also follows it up with how much of the flashes should be shown below the kilt hose.
How much flashes should be shown below the bottom of the kilt hose? I would say not a ton, but it also depends on how tall you are. That's a weird segue. If you are taller, your kilt hose may not be able to go up as high and then fold back down as much.
Right.
Or if you do fold down as much, it may be further down on your leg, so it's like mid-calf versus up a little bit higher on the calf. So it's generally when I wear my flashes, I'll have 2 inches maybe showing out the bottom, and the garters and the top of the flashes are tucked up underneath the cuff. But it's really it's kind of what looks good, and you kind of develop an eye for it the more you wear the kilt. For the bow tie itself, it's again, there's no right or wrong answer. There's probably different fashiony type stuff with a skinnier bow tie, more popular at one time period, and a fatter bow tie being popular, or a bolo tie.
Exactly.
Don't.
No.
I'm joking.
Okay.
But it's the bow tie itself has a little bit less to do with it and more to do with, dare I say, current fashion trends than the flashes.
Absolutely.
So.
It absolutely does. I mean, when I see a ultra skinny, bow tie, I think 1960s, or maybe 50s. I also think ska. When I see a really fat bow tie, I think 1970s, and fluffy tux shirts going to the prom. So, but that's one of those areas where fashion will come and go. Just go with whatever you think looks good. The beauty of the kilt, as we've said before, is that it has been able to adapt to whatever trends in men's fashion are at the time. The kilt remains the same, and yet it blends with whatever the current trends are. We've kind of gotten to a point where we have very traditional style jackets and things, but they're an option. They're not necessarily a necessity, except for the length. So if the ties this decade happen to be wider ties, then there's nothing wrong with having a wider tie. It varies. If you look at historical photographs through the 20th century, you'll see those subtle differences coming in. We tend to stress the more timeless, middle-of-the-road options, so you don't have to worry about being fashionable or not fashionable, and so that you are very definitely giving attention to the traditional aspects of the outfit, like the kilt, like the sporran, and everything else just kind of as background. But if you happen to like the way a certain tie looks, there's nothing wrong with going with it. How's that for a succinct shaggy dog?
Reasonably succinct,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I was going to jump in with timeless, but you covered
Timeless, yeah.
And just to kind of also follow up, we've had this question pop up a few times. Well, how high should the kilt hose be? If I'm putting flashes on there, flashes would stick out this far. Well, how high should the hose be?
I think I put that question on my list, actually. Yeah.
My rule of thumb is about 3 fingers breadth below the bottom of your kneecap. So when you're sitting down, tying your shoe, putting your hose on, tying your shoe, take your index finger and tuck that underneath the bottom of your kneecap, and then the bottom of your ring finger should be about the top of the hose. So about that far in between, and your kilt should come to about mid-knee. That way you have about 4 inches or so of skin showing. Mm-hmm. A kilt is not meant to come down and overlap or touch the top of the kilt hose. You want to see some knee. So I would say make sure the kilt is at the right height, and make sure your hose are they're not supposed to touch the bottom of your kneecap, and your kilt's not supposed to go down to your calf. It's supposed to be a little bit of separation between the two.
One extra tidbit, since we're talking about hose and flashes, why don't you describe where the flashes should sit on the leg?
That's a very good question.
Around the side of the leg.
The flashes are the flag things that, the garters hold on and help hold your socks up. Those hang down from underneath the cuff on your kilt hose.
With the ribbons attached to the garter.
Correct.
Basically, yeah.
Yes, ribbons. I always use the word flag, and I don't like that. Ribbons, I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So military regs for the British military is that the front leading edge would be basically on your right leg would be the center of your shin bone, and then going, if you consider that 12 o'clock, going around to about 2 o'clock, 2:30 o'clock is where the range would be. Some guys wear their kilt hose square on the side of their body, so it goes from like 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, kind of in that range. Or those are really the only two acceptable ways. You're not wrong wearing it on the side of your body if you're not military regulations. But over the years and just through kind of, usage and through my own life, I've kind of ended up with them a little bit more towards the front of the shin to the side.
I think it actually looks better.
Yeah.
You don't want them going out the back. They're not like flags on the back of your Harley.
You don't put one on the outside, one on the inside.
Right. You don't. They didn't give you two of those ribbons, so you can put one on the inside of your leg and one on the outside of your leg. Some people think that, but that's not the way it is. You're not. You're not Mercury with your little wings making you fly. That's what that always makes me think of.
The winged helmet, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there you go. All about flashes.
Indeed.
Yeah. Cool.
Succinct.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So
Mr. Mac.
we have David on YouTube. And,
Hey, David.
And
What's up, David?
I know I've done this. What is your opinion on wearing a flannel with a kilt? Like I've had flannel shirts that I've worn with my kilt.
That was the day I almost fired Mac.
Hey,
Was when he wore a
it wasn't
flannel shirt
it wasn't a Hawaiian
with a
shirt,
kilt.
so
That was a day.
Were you drinking that morning or what?
Now, by
every morning?
flannel, I'm going to assume we're talking about a plaid flannel.
Yeah.
There's obviously would be
That's fair,
nothing
that's
wrong with
fair.
a solid color flannel. I have a few, and I've worn them with kilts. Solid color, fine. Herringbone even, like kind of subtle pattern kind of a
Yeah.
thing, or marled thread,
Yeah.
But a plaid flannel with your tartan kilt.
what happens if it's a solid color kilt? And there's the tartan on the
Oh,
shirt.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it then. If it's a solid color, I just don't think you want, the two competing. I think a solid color kilt with tartan is fine. I've done that I have a solid color kilt and I'll wear a tartan tie with it. You know what I mean? As an alternative. But
Rocky's head's going to explode.
Do you also wear the clown shoes with this outfit? I see what you mean by it's not on a very, very simple level. A solid color kilt with a plaid flannel shirt, they're not competing patterns. So long as the colors aren't horrible, I would still twitch a little bit.
I think most solid color kilts are dark. So
I know. But
like black kilt and a red.
I'm allowed my opinion, sir.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your thought.
It's not something I would do. If it's I would say this: if it is a utility kilt,
Right.
then maybe, because it's not supposed to be traditional leaning by any stretch, so that's fine. If it is a Max kilt, solid color kilt, which is a traditional 8-yard solid black kilt, Mac makes it work.
I have no problem if it's casual wear.
If you think you look good, you look good.
Yeah.
Right. I think if it's a solid black kilt, no problem.
As
If
long
it's-
as you bought it from us, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's not my taste. If it is a tartan kilt, getting directly to their question,
Right.
if it is a tartan
Right,
kilt
right.
with a tartan plaid whatever shirt, no, don't
No.
do it. Even if it's the same tartan, it's going to look like, okay, let's go two ways. Best case scenario, it's the same tartan and the colors are damn close. The set size is probably going to be wrong, and it's going to look like you're wearing a jumper, like a little a little girl's jumper. It's going to look weird. It's never going to look quite right. There's going to be something off. It's going to look like you're trying too hard. If it is a different tartan, just no. Put the flannel shirt down and step away.
Okay, wait. How about this?
Oh no.
How about this?
I don't want to see the graphics she's going to put in this for afterwards.
Okay. How about a weathered or muted tartan kilt? Like a hunting tartan, okay? With real tree. You know what real tree is, right?
Camo, yeah. No,
What do you think, Mac?
just stop.
Would you do that?
Stop.
What tartan would you pair with real tree?
If your job depended on it.
See, I've said about this before too, about doing a hunting sporran, but with camo.
Yes.
With the orange
Yep.
leather.
And
around
I've said
the
you should do
outside.
it. I've said you should totally do it. Safety
We can
orange
go-
sporran. Yep.
You
can
guys
redneck
take this
this
stuff
all
too
up.
seriously.
Yep.
Too
Yep.
literally.
I would put shotgun shell holders on the sporran chain.
There we go.
Yep.
I would, for the record, I would steal that sporran and wear it with my Flyers gear.
There you go.
Okay. Well, then now you got to do it. It's going to do double duty. Yeah. There you go.
No, don't.
But again,
Please.
okay. One last thing, just to leaven the loaf on that. It's obviously context. If that's your warm shirt, you're going out to split wood. Who cares? If you're going out on a date, if you're going out into town, don't. Is that fair to say? If you're only going to be offending
it's as fair
the
to say as
squirrels,
this: if you're going out to split wood,
all the squirrels are going to go blind.
and there's a tragic accident, and that is your ghost outfit that you are forced to wear for eternity and roam the earth, and a plaid shirt and a different tartan kilt. I pity you, man.
Best question ever. Okay. I gotta get the water out of my ass. That was too funny. Next.
Please, next. Deliver us from this hell, Mac.
All right, since we're talking about wearing things,
Oh man.
we have Bernard on the Facebook asking, what style of shirt would you wear with a sheriff muir?
Mr. Dandy?
Okay, my understanding is with the sheriff muir, scanning memory banks. Waistcoat on a sheriff muir is high collared or not high collared. I think it's
The straight collar and the stand-up collar with the
the
poofy
jacket
thing,
has the stand-up
jibbo?
collar too.
Yeah.
The most traditional way that people designed that outfit is to wear it with a jabot, which is the lace ruffles. They were supposed to mimic the kind of neckerchief thing that people wore 18th and early 19th century. If you're not going to do that, that's fine. You can wear other shirts and other ties. I've seen it worn with like a ruche tie. I've even seen it worn with a necktie. I think a bow tie would look absolutely stupid. But usually what I've said before is a banded collar shirt is actually best because of the nature of how things are put together on that outfit. Or a wing collar, a wingtip shirt.
Wing collar.
Yeah.
Wingtips are shoes.
Right. Wing collar shirt, not a turn-down collar shirt is what I would do. Typically, again, it's a retro fashion, so a banded collar shirt is similar to the collarless shirts or shirts that would be coming up really high, and then you'd have the neckerchief wrapped around it. So that's how I would play it. I think a regular dress shirt would look odd, and it'd be hard for the collar to have a place to go.
The sheriff muir has the. I'm mixing up sheriff muir and Kenmore and.
Right now, I am too. I blame the shortbread.
Is that the one that effectively buttons all the way up? It's like a doublet. Sheriff muir. No, sheriff muir has a button.
Kenmore
vest.
Kenmore is more
Kenmore
like a doublet.
Okay.
Montrose is the bib, and then sheriff muir is a waistcoat and a jacket, but they both have a standing collar, or at least the waistcoat comes up very, very high.
See,
very tight closure, if I'm not mistaken.
I was thinking Kenmore doublet or the what was the other one? Montrose, and like you could actually probably get away because they close all the way up with not wearing any shirt.
Yes.
Then,
assuming you're never going to open your shirt, but then you have no cuffs either.
Well, then that could be your Chippendale outfit.
God.
Now I'm picturing Eric as a Chippendale ripping off the Montrose doublet with just the lace.
We already did that Photoshop. Once is the topless Photoshop treatment has been done once already. We're not doing that again.
So is it like Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze, the Saturday Night Live skit with the
Never seen it. Sorry.
Oh.
But yeah, so seriously, a banded collar shirt would be my go-to, or a wing collar shirt like you have with a tuxedo. But yeah, you don't have to have any kind of shirt that's going to have any decoration to it or any style to it at all if you're keeping something like a Montrose doublet or a Kenmore doublet closed completely all the time. But yeah, that's in a nutshell.
Sure.
I think I've had too much whiskey and too much shortbread because I don't feel very focused at the moment. Not my best answer.
Drink more of your coffee.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yep.
Let's do one of the preloadeds.
Sure, let's do that.
Just so we can keep cycling through those.
Sure.
We have people that submit questions pre-show and questions we haven't gotten to from previous shows. Mm-hmm. So we try to cycle through some of those as well just to make sure we're getting to everyone's questions.
Okay. YouTube viewer, his handle is Aloha Koa 59. He says he was recently in Scotland, and when he was there, he was told that traditionally to find your tartan, you trace your mother's line. And he's wondering if that's true. So I think we know the answer to this one.
Negatory Ghost Rider?
No.
Either, my brain goes a couple different ways on it. no, you go through your paternal line, traditionally speaking. Either the person he spoke to said paternal and he mixed up maternal and paternal, or he was in a store. If I'm going to go to the nefarious, salesman kind of answer, he was in a store and he said, "Well, my dad wasn't Scottish. My mom was a Stuart." "Oh yes, well you go through the maternal line, of course. Here's a Stuart kilt. Buy that one." Maybe that would have happened, or as I said, mixed up maternal and paternal, or you misheard it, or you misremembered. But no, traditionally it's through the father's line.
Yeah, you kind of have to watch the sources for information with all this stuff. But you're especially going to be at risk if you are taking something that a owner of a tourist shop tells you.
Like me.
Yeah.
But I'm honest about
We're
stuff.
not a tourist shop.
Well,
We're not a Tartan tat shop.
No, we're Kilt Mecca.
We're Kilt Mecca. We are
Kilt
Kilt
Mecca,
Mecca.
yes.
But seriously, not everybody is completely well informed. Not everybody is accurate, and some places just want to sell you stuff. So they're gonna tell you what they think you want to hear in order to close the sale. So always do your homework before you go shopping. This is a general rule of thumb.
Yep. We don't care about closing sales. We care about being right. Period.
Yeah, right.
And adding, well, no, we care about closing sales,
do.
but we care about giving value to them and
Right.
being right historically, and because we're putting it on wax. I mean, it's out there.
Yeah.
And if we're wrong, we're gonna get called out on it, and
Right.
bring it.
Right. And the more people know, the more secure the culture is, and the more secure the culture is, the more likely people want to buy a kilt from us.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. Want to go back to Mac, or should I do
Sure.
another? Okay.
Mr. Mac.
All right. So we have Bob on YouTube asking, "What's the significance of the 3 tassels on a sporran?"
3 tassels on a sporran.
Can't wait to hear this one.
No, it's basically a throwback, a callback. A lot of things in Highland wear, whether it's what's it called, Highland shirts, Jacobite shirt kind of thing, whether it's ghillie brogues, whether it's the 3 tassels and the sporran. A lot of it is a callback. Whether it's the fly plate, it's a callback to an older thing within the same Highland wear genre. So original sporrans were really just belt pouches. They would go on the belt, and it would be a bag with a flap over top. So the bag would have 2 drawstrings, which you would yank out to the sides, and that would close the bag. And then you'd have 1 flap that would go down in the front. Then you'd have a little string that would go around a decoration, a staghorn or something on the flap, and that would keep the flap closed. So whatever you have in your sporran, your oats, your smokes, your keys, yeah, whatever, would stay secure in the bag. So with the 2 drawstrings out the side and the one down the front, you end up with 3 strings or 3 tassel-y kind of looking things on a sporran. So the 3 tassels on a sporran are kind of a throwback to that. It's a nod to that, if you will. So there's really not a lot to it. It's just a traditional thing. It's kind of a holdover from the original sporrans.
Yeah.
Sporrans today, you'll start to see some without tassels at all. You'll see Welsh sporrans with 2 tassels. There's different incarnations of things now that, technology, sporran technology has evolved. But it's just really a throwback to that.
Yeah. Purely decorative at this point.
Yep. They look pretty.
And my old story was that I'd tease people saying that there are 3 sporrans to represent your loyalty to clan, kingdom, and country. And then if you're Irish, you only have 2 tassels because you acknowledge no king. And that's an example of the BS that you have to watch out for. So again, do your homework before you go shopping. It's really just, it's a survival of a practical thing. Just like the laces on ghillie brogues are symbolic now, but represent the laces that they had on their shoes to keep their shoes from getting stuck in the mud back in the old times pre-good paved roads. So it's exactly the same kind of thing. It's a very simple element which has some memory imbued into it. So a good way of saying it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Lovely. Succinct.
If anybody tells you different, they're lying.
Pretty much. Yeah. Mr. Mac.
All right, so we have this is a good thing. Brian on YouTube is asking, and this goes for any gift giving time. Any suggestions for accessories for his wife to wear that would complement his kilt, not to overpower the fact that he's wearing a kilt?
Sure. Sash, you could that could be complementary to the kilt if she wants to wear it in your tartan. If she has her own clan, or if she is Scottish, or if she is German and wants to wear the German tartan, you can do that as well. You can give her a look and booth brooch. A look and booth brooch has a lot of symbolism kind of baked into it.
Yep.
In layman's terms, it's the Scottish version of the claddagh. So you can give her a look and booth brooch, which she could wear, which symbolizes your love for her and that kind of thing. So there are a few different things. You can give her your clan brooch. If you have a clan crest cap badge for your particular clan, you can give her that, showing her that she's part of your family. She's in your family now, and she's under the protection of your clan and whatever. So those are a few suggestions I have. Anything?
Or pretty much that. Or again, her clan stuff if she has Scottish heritage. This is all stuff which is safe because you're not getting into measuring her. If she's really into building a traditional outfit, then you could look at getting a kilted skirt for her, but don't try to make that a surprise. That's a bad idea. See if it's something she wants to build for her own personal expression, and then treat her to, so to say, hey, let's do this for you, honey. This is going to be awesome. And make sure you get the measurements right, and make sure you get the tartan right, and all that kind of stuff. There's not nearly as many conventions with women's traditional dress as there is with men's. So there's all kinds of stuff she could do that could be fun depending on where you're going out to. But the most typical way of showing off your heritage in female garb is the sash, sometimes with a rosette. A lot of time the rosettes are made at home. Some people sell them, some people don't. Then the clan jewelry.
Yep.
Pendants are easy. There's look and booth pendants out there, and can't go wrong with a thistle. Or there's the heather jewelry, which is kind of cool. Some people like that, where they've taken heather from places like Culloden and they've pressed it into resin, so it makes a kind of a sort of a stone-like effect.
I don't think they've collected it from Culloden. That would probably go against the.
Okay, so it's just it's Scottish heather.
Yeah, Scottish heather.
Okay.
Yes.
It's think about what her personality is like and what her dress style is like. There's any number of different accessories out there on the market that would look nice, and then you throw in some clan tartan, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, if you're not sure, get her a gift kit, get her a gift certificate or something like that to a kilt company that that and trust.
Right.
No, but get her something that she is going to be able to pick it out herself. If you're worried about it, jewelry or one size fits all things are good. Period. If check the company's return policies and that kind of stuff as well, to make sure if she doesn't like the big dangly thistle earrings that stab her in the neck, maybe she wants something a little bit smaller.
Right.
Or if she says, you get her a tartan to match yours and she says, I really wanted my own, make sure that the company will take it back, or just get her a gift card that we don't have to worry about screwing it up.
Yeah, basically.
Yep. Mr. Mac.
All right, we have Sean on Facebook asking.
Actually, stop.
Bum, bum, bum.
Pause before you get to Sean's question.
Okay.
Sorry, Sean. Remember, boys and girls,
Yep.
in about 20 minutes or so, we are going to debut the Tartan Show, or what's it called?
Tartan Challenge.
The Tartan Challenge.
It has
yes.
a name, but I'm not going to reveal the name.
Okay. Yes. So at around 4:45, we're going to show me and Mac's competition, naming all the tartans. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. That's going to be coming up very shortly. Back to you, Mac.
Hey, you beat me to it. I was going to do it at 4:30.
We should have done it at 4 o'clock.
It's all right.
I sent a message out a little bit ago, so
There you go.
Sweet.
Thank
Look
you,
at
sir.
you.
Thank you, Mac.
yeah,
Look
Thanks.
at
we're
you.
on it back
He's
here.
on it. Nice.
At least we act like we know what we're doing back here.
Yep. It's a good thing you got that glass window that we can't actually throw things at you. Yeah.
All right,
Mac's
so,
actually in a separate building entirely.
Yeah. The bunker.
down in the garage.
All right. Try again.
All right, Sean.
Good old Sean.
There we go,
What did
Sean.
Sean say?
He says, "Hey guys, if I'm wearing a dark Stuart PV kilt, what accessories should I wear with a Jacobite shirt? What kilt hose would go along as well?"
You said dark Stuart. You mean like Stuart Black?
I'm guessing Stuart Black.
Probably
That's
Stuart Black.
would
Okay.
be my assumption.
Okay. If it's Stuart Black, you got lots of color options.
Yeah. My general advice for a kilt hose color or a kilt hose style is if it's a Highland shirt, I'd say the cotton kilt hose are good. Really any of them. It's not
Yeah.
that I don't know. It's not so extreme that you must wear only hand knit hose or something like that. Color wise, I typically tell people do one of two things: either A, match your kilt hose to your top. So if you're wearing black hose and a black top, that's fine. Then the kilt kind of stands out in the middle on its own. If you're wearing a brown top and you cannot match the hose to the top, then I would match the hose or tone the hose to one of the colors in the kilt to kind of blend them with the kilt. Yeah. In the case of Black Stuart, I would wear black, charcoal. I tend to personally shy away from cream hose. They look a bit stark for such a contrast with a kilt. Any thoughts?
Cream hose. Don't like cream hose.
You snob.
Yeah, I am. I'm a horrible snob. Don't like cream hose. Yeah, I would kind of ignore the shirt. Just go with the colors in the tartan and stick with that for like you said, for matching. I think charcoal is great. I like charcoal because obviously I'm a guy who has multiple kilts, so charcoal is nice and neutral, goes with everything. Doesn't ever show dirt. Looks kind of natural a little bit. So that would be my first go-to if you're really not sure. He didn't say what kind of event he was wearing this to, so I'm just going to guess it could be a fair, it could be a concert. Casual, I don't know. Yeah, just casual. So for flashes, you could either go with the tartan flashes, or you could go with traditional red, because that's a classic military style, which is kind of become universal. Or again, pick out a color that's an accent color in the tartan. With Stuart Black, there's several to choose from. Any of them would be fine. So I would consider my first blush would be to do charcoal hose and then red flashes or green flashes, something like that.
Bottle green, yeah.
Yeah, bottle green. Just keep it simple like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking about a historical impression of some kind, then feel free to elaborate, and we can talk about that too. But in this case, I wouldn't worry about the shirt. I'm assuming it's not like a plaid flannel shirt. It's a Highland shirt, so it's either cream or black or maybe another color.
Yeah, and when we're talking about cream hose and kind of poo-pooing cream hose a little bit, it's not from the casual aspect. No. It's just because there are better options that really aren't any more money.
Because it's what they give you with rental outfits, so it just kind of looks cheap, or just kind of generic. So
yeah, generic. It looks both cheap and generic.
Yeah.
With black hose, even just simply black, or toning your hose with the color in your kilt, it looks like you did it on purpose and tried, versus what was just kind of thrown at you.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Very good, Mr. Mack.
All right, so we have Bob on YouTube asking, where did the square buttons on a PC jacket and waistcoat originate from?
I'm going to let you repeat what you taught me.
Square buttons on a PC jacket. Did I teach you this?
I think you did.
If I did, I may have forgotten.
And I tried to corroborate it.
I want to say, and I am prefacing this may be complete BS, I'm trying to remember, that originally they were silver buttons, and you would use them effectively as forms of money. If you couldn't pay something, you just pop a button off and pay it with the silver or whatever.
You could. Was that? That might be mythic, but that is one of the classic stories behind them.
Then don't believe me.
Okay. What I remember is that what have become the traditional square buttons were based on a single button that was found on a historical garment or in a cache of stuff. And you notice there's writing around the outside of those buttons. It's very indistinct, but it basically says Clan Narghile, just like for the clan.
Clannargael. No,
yeah.
Child of Scotland.
Yeah, Child of Scotland. There you go.
And then there's something else on the bottom. That's the top two.
Yeah.
And there's two on the bottom, and I forget what they are.
And so I can't remember the exact origins, but whoever found that button thought, wow, this is about as Scottish as it gets. Let's make a jacket with buttons that look like this, and it became standard very quickly.
Yeah, the funny thing is...
It got repeated over and over and over again until it became a tradition.
And the funny thing is, I actually asked, going back 10 years now, I guess, or 12 years ago, I asked Scott, the owner of one of our jacket manufacturer, who's one of effectively 2 or 3 of the biggest jacket manufacturers in Scotland for traditional Highland wear. I asked him, "Hey, what does this mean on these buttons? I've always kind of wondered that." And he, the owner of the company that literally produces hundreds and thousands, tens of thousands of these jackets a year, said, "Huh, I'm not sure where it started." It's just what you're supposed to put on Prince Charlie's.
Right. Right.
And he knows Gaelic, and he kind of translated it, and it's not the actual, it's not correct Gaelic, it's not the right spelling, but he said this is what it means. And I remember Child of Scotland, or Children of Scotland, and I forget what the bottom part was. But he translated it and then said, well, I'm not exactly sure. So there's history there. I'm not sure exactly where it goes to.
Yeah.
But it's...
I'm not sure anybody is completely sure. Like I said, I think it goes back to something that somebody thought they found it. They assumed it was old, like going back to the Jacobites or something, and they decided to copy it as, again, another emblematic element to add to the clothes. And then there's the whole silver button thing. Might be true, might be a myth. I think that it's more likely that pewter was used more commonly for buttons, and people started recreating the clothing to look nice and realized silver was going to be prettier than pewter. So they became silver, and then silver is expensive, so now we have chrome, you know. But and now we go back to pewter because now pewter looks cool.
But it's a neat part of the kit that is it's a tiny little detail that is there, and it's a holdover from something. And the part that's frustrating to me is there's not a. I want to connect all the dots. I want to know what the missing link is. I want to know where it actually started.
Yep.
But even without that, it's still cool to know that no matter, which jacket company I'm getting the buttons from, it's going to be the same emblem on the button, the same basic thing on the button.
Yeah. And
that has its own history. Even if no one knows what the heck it is, it still has its own history within Highland wear. It's cool little tiny histories within the big history.
Yeah. It's very complex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a great question.
Yep, absolutely.
If I find out more, I'm definitely going to write about it. Because it's vexed me for years now, not knowing exactly where those things come from. But
just make sure you fact check.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Mr. Mac.
All right, let's go.
We'll have about, I'm guessing, probably 3 more. So do one with you, at least one of Eric, and then one back.
Okay, so we have Mike, our buddy Mike Power, asking on Facebook. I know recently you said that brown ghillie brogues are considered semi-dress. I've noticed recently at weddings that brown shoes are in with dark suits.
Yeah.
What would you think? Would you think that maybe the same thing might go with kilts for formal wear?
I wouldn't say formal. Brown shoes are in with dark suits, but not often black suits. You'll see them with navy blue. You'll see them with, different colors of suits, but not often formal. Formal meaning bow tie, wing collar shirt. You have, patent leather shoes, or, I'm thinking, tuxedo formal. It is very different from kilt. Well, it's different but parallel from kilt formal. So what you're talking about is dressy, but not formal by a true definition of the word formal.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I agree. Brown shoes, especially that lighter brown, that kind of like camel brown that's in right now with suits. I kind of hate it. Just saying, I don't really like it. But definitely very in. I would say you'll probably see it with more kilted weddings these days because there are a lot of daytime weddings and outdoor weddings.
A lot of tweed.
And there's a lot of tweed. The trend towards kilted weddings these days is towards the less formal. And therefore, things like brown become cool. But if you're talking after 6, if you're talking true formal wear, black tie to white tie, no brown.
Yeah, it's as a society, whether it's the UK, whether it's Canada, whether it's US, doesn't matter. We have all effectively moved the needle pretty far away from actual formal for weddings, for formal events, for that kind of thing. Yeah. There aren't a lot of formal events to go to. A lot of people either A, aren't that stuffy, or B, want to wear something a little bit toned down, or something a little bit more natural looking, or something they want to buy something that they can get more usage out of. And if you're only going to go to 3 formal events when you and 2 of your college buddies get married, you're not going to get a whole lot of use out of a PC. So a lot of guys go, all right, well, if I got to buy something, I'd rather buy a tweed jacket and vest because I know I can wear that a lot more often than I can wear a PC. PC meaning Prince Charlie. So I'd say that, the brown shoes fit very well with a with a tweed jacket and vest, which is why you're probably seeing a lot more of them. It's not formal, but it looks good with a tweed jacket and vest.
Right. Or worsted wool, like a Highland wear done in regular suit fabric, of which the best example on our website is the Wallace.
Wallace jacket.
Yes, Wallace jacket.
Got it.
It's basically a herringbone worsted wool. Very sharp, very contemporary, and you could wear different colors with that. But yeah, if you got shiny buttons, you don't want to wear brown shoes. How's that? Shiny buttons,
That's a good.
black shoes.
That's a good rule of thumb. Yeah.
It'll work for now until I come
Yep.
up with something better.
Fair enough.
All right.
Let's do
You wanna
one of
do
yours.
Sure, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I know.
We got to do that rapid fire show.
We may stretch past 4:45 a little bit.
Oh, okay. This is a similar to a related question. Brendan Charlie was asking, saying he generally tries to match his leathers of his shoes and his belts and his sporrans and all that. But is it odd to wear brown shoes and a brown sporran if the straps on the kilt are black? He's worried about his kilt clashing with his other leather. And we're really getting into minutia here, but it's a legit question. So,
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it.
yeah, you're fine.
It's the straps are attached to the kilt. You don't, especially if you're wearing a belt, you don't see two of the straps. Your top right and your top left strap you won't see. If you're wearing a vest and no belt, you won't see them then either.
Right.
The only one you're going to see is the hip strap on the right hand side. If your kilt has a hip strap, some don't. So yeah, I wouldn't worry that much about it. No.
Yeah. No, that's the don't let perfection be the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah, you're fine. It's gonna just disappear. You don't really pay attention to him.
Pretty much.
So that was a quick one.
Yep.
Should we do
Mac.
another one, Mac?
All right, so I've got one here that came in that I've actually kind of like. We have William on the on YouTube.
Any Twitch questions or no?
No, we haven't had.
Come on, Twitch.
We've had a few
We're
people.
trying Twitch. Get out there.
We've actually had a few people bounce back and forth between Twitch and YouTube. So
Interesting.
It's we've had some bounce back and forth between.
I'll be
YouTube.
curious. I'll be curious to know from them later which one they liked better, which one they thought the picture or sound was better.
And
on.
here's what I'm going to say as well. Next episode, we'll do Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch again. And we'll take the questions in order. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Ooh.
That way,
Ooh.
we'll see if you go over to Twitch, you'll have a better chance of getting your question answered.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
We'll take that under consideration.
They'll overrule me and say
All
I'm
right,
wrong.
go ahead, Mac.
All right, so we have William asking the question: hearing about all the challenges making a kilt, which is more satisfying, finishing a kilt to the stripe or set, or finishing a tartan kilt or a tweed kilt?
Finishing it as fast as possible and getting it out of my vision.
Oh, come on. Come on.
No.
Cast your mind back to before you were jaded.
Me? Angry and jaded and curmudgeonly? No, never. I could go both direction, and I'm assuming Mac wants to answer as well because he seems like he's on his
Yeah.
haunches there.
Yeah,
I would say this: I have different reasons for each. One, not tweed. If it's a pattern tweed, maybe solid color or just herringbone tweed. No, I hate doing tweeds because you have to mark everything out. It's a pain in the butt. The difference between stripe and set. If it is for the stripe, I like it because there's the challenge of making sure the stripe is dead center on that pleat, and that as you're tapering out into kind of the flat section for the rise, and then angling out in slight A shape, and then coming straight down the bottom in the bottom 2 inches of the fell, or bottom inch of the fell, making sure that stripe stays exactly dead center on the pleat, and that each pleat is individually exactly the same size, because you can tell on a kilt that is pleated to the stripe much easier that the pleats are all the same size, or there's varying differences, or if a line is off a little bit and there's a stare effect. So you have to be better at your craft in some ways for that. On the set, it's more satisfying because you're creating the pattern. Or I'll go another direction, Mac, is if the set size is big and you have to kind of make up the pattern within it. Or on our 5-yard kilt, where you don't pleat it to the full set, you may have to pleat it to the reverse set. You're literally making up a pattern within the set to recreate. So that is satisfying insofar as you're hoping that your pattern that you're creating to make it work with the amount of fabric that you have looks as good as the original set, and you're kind of playing around with things. You have to have a little bit more creativity. So one, I would say, goes to the level of perfection. The other one goes to the level of creativity. Mac, top that answer.
For me, I mean, I do agree with you on the stripe, making sure that's. I don't know. I almost like doing the set a little bit more because I think in a way it's a little bit more challenge. You got to put a little bit more finesse into it. You got to come up with you figure out how to make it work. I differ with you on the tweeds. Like, I guess coming from a drafting background and like drawing it all out and laying it there, like that doesn't faze me as much. Now I have a whole bunch of solid semi-tracks. Ask me that next week, and we'll see what the answer is. But I don't know.
See, now that's where psychologically I differ from you, because when I was in elementary school, every report card, they would come back and say, Rocky's very smart, but he needs to follow directions. He needs to read the directions entirely before starting the work. Because I would just be like, okay, start going. And I would just want to jump right in and get through the thing as fast as possible. So for me, that's why I get a differing sense of it, and I don't like doing the salads. I don't want to sit there and mark out all the stuff. When I started making kilts, I used to pin every single thing 10 or 15 times down each pleat and, get everything exactly so, because I wanted the level of perfection to be as high as possible. And I drove myself nuts with it and very quickly decided, forget this. I am not going to sit here and pin each pleat. It's driving me nuts. I'm going too slow. I hate doing it. I just need to learn how to do it without pinning and be just as precise. So that's kind of how I taught myself to do it after that point, and I've hated pinning ever since.
Yeah.
But you enjoy doing the tweeds.
Yeah, I think the tweeds are it's a different feel. Like it's texturally, it's a different feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
okay.
Each mill within itself has its own challenges. Like they all have different feels. Different. This one is a little bit more spongier than this one, and so you have all these array of different things that you're going through,
especially in the tweeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it really. Like any given tartan or any given kilt I'm working on, I could go either way on. But just to go off his question, like doing something for me, it's doing something to the set, and then a tweed kilt. Those are the two. That's the direction.
You're talking about the tactile experience, not just the OCD of lining it up and making it crisp.
Yeah, but there's still that with the tweed though. Even though you're in the middle of a solid field, you got to make sure that your top can be all done straight, but your bottom can skew a little bit. You got to make sure that that's straight.
Yeah, because you don't have a grid on the fabric.
Yeah.
You're hoping that when you pinch it and flip it over and draw a line top and bottom, that line is exactly running down the same thread vertically versus going on an angle on the actual cloth. And it has its own challenges in tweed.
Mm-hmm. You realize you guys have just now gotten people thinking about tweeds, and they're going to start ordering tweed kilts. We're going to have an influx of tweed kilts for 20.
Not it.
Remember over there, I'm the one that signs who gets what. So
there you go. Yeah, Ian's over there like, oh no.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay.
Mr. Eric, we'll do one more.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
the long-awaited Tartan Challenge.
Okay. All right. Troy Sartors, or Sartors, I don't know how you pronounce it, asks, pretty basic question, is it overboard to wear a belt buckle and a sporran and a kilt pin that all have the clan crest on them? Is that overkill to have clan, 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 clan? Or should you mix it up with some regular jewelry?
Did you drop something down the stairs?
Yes. Clang, 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 clang.
Yeah.
Clang, clang, clang.
Is it overkill to wear all clan items, meaning kilt pin, belt buckle, sporran, cap badge, everything clan crest? Yes and no. I've met people who really, really want to do all of it, and I've met people who just want to have accents of it. Mm-hmm. If you're going to do multiple, meaning you want to wear a couple different pieces, my suggestion is always kilt pin and belt buckle and not sporran. Because belt buckle or belt buckle and sporran are in very close proximity.
Right.
And sporran is close to kilt pin. Kilt pin size, is about the size of a dime or so, or a nickel. For the actual clan badge on the kilt pin, where the buckle it's a little bit bigger, so it's at least a size variation.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're gonna do everything, have at it. It's not done all that often. It's not traditional or non-traditional. It's a personal preference thing.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do more than just one, then I always kind of nudge people towards the kilt pin and the buckle.
Yeah, I would. There's definitely nothing wrong with it. It's hard to say something is overkill in Highland dress. Again, we're all peacocks. But if it were me, I'd say if it was like the sporran was kind of a signature piece, and you really wanted to make sure people knew your clan, especially if you're in a capacity where you're representing the clan, like at a clan tent at a gathering or something like that. Like you're going to Highland Games and you're representing the clan, you want to make sure everybody knows exactly who you are. Might be worth advertising a little harder that way. But if I was going to do the sporran, I would not do the buckle, like I said, and I might not even do the kilt pin either. I think a little can go a long way, especially if it's larger.
I would kind of go back to the tartan full suit thing, where would you wear a tartan jacket and vest and kilt on the same tartan? Yes, to different types of occasions. If I'm just going to the grocery store, no, I wouldn't wear it. That's overkill for that scenario. If I'm going to a St. Andrew's dinner and I am going to be among 50, 100 other guys wearing kilts, wearing Prince Charlie's, wearing, tartan outfits, and you want to be the king peacock among the peacocks, then that's fine. Where you went with the clan tent thing or a clan gathering, there I would see it as a little bit less obnoxious, we'll call it obnoxious, but less much than if you're just out at the store. If you are at a Macmillan clan gathering and you want to wear all your Macmillan stuff to show you are the biggest cheerleader for Clan Macmillan, then that would be fine in a better way than just going out to the mall.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I think it makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So the king peacock. Now we need a king peacock. With a staff. Yeah. With a crown. Yep.
With plaid.
Indeed.
With plaid feathers. Or no, clan crest in the peacock tails.
Yes. Set to the NBC. Boom, boom, boom.
Wow,
NBC
now you're really
logo.
dating yourself.
Yes. They still use it.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as often. They don't use the sound effect thing.
Okay.
But they still use it.
Anyway, speaking of television,
Indeed.
This is an example of what happens when you have a small little idea. Like, let's just get the cell phones out and have Rocky and Mac kind of like name the Tartans. They'll be fine. We'll just, let's do it this afternoon. And then things go a little bit big.
Then you say, you guys figure it out and just tell me and Mac when we need to show up. And then a small project becomes a slightly larger project. And then I get involved and want to make stupid commercials and make it even worse.
Yeah, don't.
I'm not giving too much away.
Okay.
It goes nuts, but in a good way. So, without further ado, the long-awaited for Tartan Challenge with Rocky and Mac.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. You've asked for it for months, and now we are ready to do it. This is the first and probably the last episode of your favorite game show and ours, Name That Tartan. Today, we have two very special contestants, and they are going to compete to see who is the Tartan champion and who is the Tartan chump. So without further ado, let's bring them out here and get this show going. A kilt maker for over 16 years, our first contestant is a real tartan enthusiast. He says he loves Celtic heritage almost as much as he loves his scotch. A man who owns enough kilts to qualify for an episode of Hoarders, it's Rocky Rager. Opposing Rocky, a man who spends so much time sewing tartan, he has to wear corrective color-blocking lenses. Host of the hit show Kilts and Culture, you know him, you love him. It's Dan the Mac McMichael. All right, are you folks ready? Because I sure am. Let's bring him out. Come on, guys. Now, before we start, I wanted to thank both of you for being willing to take this challenge on, because you are answering a question that has been burning in the minds of our audience for months now, and that is, what are the tartans behind us on the wall in our USA Kilt studio? Now, the rules are pretty simple. You have basically as much time as you need to determine which tartans are which. However, for every tartan you get wrong, or every tartan you choose to skip, you will earn a 10-second penalty. Now, you don't have to name every name of a tartan if it has multiple names. Some tartans do. You do have to name the color variation. So, correct name, correct color variation, and as quickly as possible, gentlemen. Are you ready? All right, here we go. It's time to play. Rocky Rager, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Feeling nervous at all?
No.
All right then. I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Buchanan, hunting, muted. MacArthur, modern. County Cavan. Buchan District, modern. County Crest, Cork. Mitchell, muted. Wallace, red, muted. Macmillan, old, modern. Lagavulin 16. Law enforcement. Officers Memorial Tartan. Alaska State Seal. Ross, hunting, modern. Gun, ancient. Stewart, black, modern. Buchanan, ancient. County Donegal. Henderson, weathered. Mackenzie, modern. Prince Charles Edward Stewart, modern. Mackay, ancient. Innis, red, muted. Lament, modern. Kerr, red, muted. American Heritage, County Donegal, U.S. Army. County Crest, Derry. Irish National, Holyrood. Monroe, red, muted. Scott, green, weathered. Firefighter Memorial, County Cork. County Clare, Irish National. Anderson, ancient. Isle of Skye. Sutherland, modern. Farkston, ancient.
Wow. I don't know about you folks, but I think that was a pretty impressive display of tartan prowess. Rocky, how do you think you did?
Not bad. I think I got most of them. There's one or two I'm a little bit questioning, but I tried to take my time and hit the name and think about the element of each individual one to make sure I wasn't getting a penalty.
Well, all I can say is I think that Mac has got a tough act to follow. We'll see how well he's going to do in just a minute. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Do you hate pants? Try a kilt! Kilts make you faster than a speeding Ford Focus. Kilts make you more attractive. Kilts give you superpowers. Go to usakilts.com and get your kilt today. Actual resulting superpowers may vary.
And we're back. Mac, Rocky did a pretty good job back then, I'll tell you that. You think you're ready?
Oh, I'm sure he did a pretty good job. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. There's a few humdingers in there, but we'll go.
Alrighty, I'm going to count you down, and then you'll be on your way.
Alrighty, sounds good.
3, 2, 1, go.
Buchanan hunting ancient. MacArthur ancient. County Cavan. Cunningham ancient modern. Cork Crest. Mitchell muted. Wallace muted. Macmillan old modern. Law enforcement officer Memorial Tartan. The Alaska State Seal. Ross modern. Ross hunting modern. Gun ancient. Stewart black. Buchanan ancient. County Donegal. Henderson weathered. Mackenzie modern. Prince Stewart. Prince Charles Edward modern. Mackay ancient. Innis red modern, or Innis red muted. Lamont modern. Kerr muted. Kerr red muted. American Heritage, County Donegal, U.S. Army. Derry Crest, Irish National. Holyrood. Monroe red muted. Scott green weathered. Firefighters Memorial. County Cork, County Clare, Irish National, Anderson Ancient, Isle of Skye, Sutherland Modern, and Farkson Ancient.
Wow. This is going to be a close one, folks. I can tell. This is going to be really, really close. How do you think you did there, Mac?
That was a little slow.
A little slow?
Yeah, I think that was slow. It's easy to go through them one by one, but to know that there's a time crunch is that's the tripper upper.
You know, I think Rocky said almost the exact same thing. So it's going to come down to the numbers, of course. It's going to come down to our time. We're going to calculate that and find out who the winner is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to announce our winner. I'm going to ask Adam, our head of competition, to hand me the envelope.
Good luck, Mac.
Very good sportsmanship on both your parts. The results were very close. You each only got 2 wrong, and the final times only had a difference of 4 seconds between the two of you. The winner, and new, and probably only, Tartan champion is Mac with a time of 1 minute and 41 seconds. Followed closely by Rocky with a 1 minute and 45 seconds. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have for tonight. Thanks for joining us. And remember, you can catch Kilts and Culture, the official show, every Friday afternoon right here on the USA Kilts Network. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
We're going to be in here like 3 months later. We're going to still find confetti pieces.
Yeah, it's like needles off the Yule tree.
At least it's not glitter. I hope you were as amused with that as we were with making it and having stupid happy fun time at USA Kilts.
Wow.
Yes, my favorite part was the commercial.
I agree because I wasn't in it.
Mac, what are the people saying?
There's a whole lot of chatter going on.
Have we annoyed and lost all of our viewers with our spectacular acting abilities?
From when it started to now, we only lost one person, so we're doing pretty good, I guess.
I bet you that person has the same haircut as I did in the video, and
there was a lot of talk about the.
You like that, guys? I have to shave every month. I have to shave every month for this show. I hope you appreciate it. He makes me do it.
I don't want to be the only guy with male pattern baldness on the show. Yes. Any positives? Any negatives? Any questions
about it?
Outside of what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah, there's a lot of oh my, what is going on? You know but no, everyone's saying it was great. They loved it, so it's,
thanks.
Very good.
Thank you.
We even got a heart.
Are you not entertained? Yeah.
Do you know how much time and money that cost?
Yeah.
In all seriousness, I want to know. Here's my question of the day. Tell us in the comments, whether you're watching this live or after the fact. Tell me, do you think we should run that actual commercial of the "Do you hate pants"? Should we run that as a real commercial? And should we put ad money behind it? I want to know if you guys think it's going to be funny or if it's the dumbest thing ever or if it's funny because it's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
So let me know what you think of that.
It's all about the Wilhelm scream. That's right. Love it.
I love the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just the absurdity of it.
It is pretty absurd. It's pretty absurd.
I love it. I needed to see it exist.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it exists now. I'm sorry, world. I'm sorry, Scott.
Great.
Very good.
Should we wrap up with a few more questions, maybe, if anybody wants?
Let's do one. We'll do, if there's any more
Okay.
from Mac, we'll
From
ask
me?
if there's
Okay.
any more from you.
Okay. All right.
And I'm back to drinking now.
Yes, everyone's saying run it.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Okay.
They may be biased, though.
This is an interesting one actually, and this comes from Mr. Fedora, our YouTube viewer. He had asked this. I've been told that the kilt, in its present skirt-like design, was actually invented by an Englishman. Is this true? I think you know the story he's referring to.
Yeah, Rawlinson or whatever.
Rawlinson.
Yeah. There is some historical evidence, not overwhelming amount, but there's some historical evidence that a gent who was English moved to the Highlands of Scotland. His name was Rawlinson back in the 17 or 18?
1730s at the latest, maybe 1720s.
Okay.
I forget when the letter was written. That's the evidence, but
English guy moved to Scotland, worked as a smelter or something with iron.
It was an ironworks.
Yeah. And basically adopted Highland garb since he was living in Scotland and started wearing a great kilt and realized quickly that, gee, if I didn't wear the top part of the great kilt, I could have freer range of motion and that kind of thing.
It was safer.
It was safer, yes, all that. And that is where the story of the kilt was invented by the English comes from. It's partially factually true, but not entirely. And for a couple reasons. One, there is some evidence that a version of the filabeg, which is the small kilt or half kilt, was already in existence by that point, versus the filamore, which is the great kilt, which is the full thing, over the shoulder and that kind of thing. The great kilt was already, woven two small pieces of cloth that were actually spliced together, and that's how you wore it. So ripping the kilt in half, as the story goes with Rawlinson, wouldn't have had to necessarily been done. You just don't sew the pieces together. On top of that, the kilt as it is now is a fully tailored garment, specifically to the people's own measurements. Rawlinson did not push that forward. He was literally, if you give him credit for this stuff, he was only the guy to say, hey, it's cooler if you only wear the bottom half, not the top half. Cooler as in temperature. He didn't tailor the kilt. He didn't do any of that. He didn't invent the kilt as it stood. Before that, he didn't invent the great kilt. He probably didn't even invent the half kilt. So at best case scenario, he's somebody that affected to some degree the evolution of the kilt. He didn't invent it or make it or whatever. He was just kind of one of the stepping stones along the way at best.
I'd say he was probably an example of what other people were doing at the same time. It's just that people remember the story because he was an oddity because he was English.
That's fair as well.
He was not the first Englishman to try wearing a kilt, by the way. There were other Englishmen who went to Scotland and adopted the dress because they realized it was awesome. And they wanted to fit in with the culture. Yeah. But yeah, I suspect that it was kind of just happening in general, just as a practical option.
Yeah.
Now I think the second part of that story is that there was a duke who saw him doing it and thought that's a good idea, and he started wearing it that way too. And then he became, because he was a person of authority, he was the one who got the fashion rolling. But as I recall, there is some evidence from some heraldic art, like displays of coats of arms, where you see a Highlander as one of the supporters of the arms, and they seem to be wearing a filabeg. It's scanty evidence, as a lot of early kilt history is,
and that predates Rawlinson.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So that's like 1600s. So,
okay.
So he's I think he's just an example of it happening. But when the popular media, especially the English popular media, gets a hold of something like that, then it's kind of like, oh, hey, check it out. But it's because it's an oddity. It's not like he really did it.
Yeah, and there's also the effect of the age of the internet and people wanting to know things, or coming up with stories, or embellishing stories, or misremembering stories, or moving things along. And that's why you got to be careful about what you're reading, what you're taking in, making sure that it's factually accurate, and kind of thinking about things critically, and not just, oh, this is the story my grandpop told me, so it must be true because he was my grandpop, and he wouldn't lie to me. He's not lying to you. He just didn't know the facts back then, and then you're just pushing it forward.
I think people like to glom onto stories like that because as a modern culture, we have a tendency to want to look for clay feet on all of our idols. So if you can be the guy who knocks down everybody a peg by saying, well, did you actually know that the kilt was invented by an Englishman? Then you're getting like snide know-it-all points.
Yeah, you're
You know what I mean?
thumbing your nose at the
Yeah.
Scots and that kind of thing.
Yeah. You're bashing down the idol, and therefore you're cool. So there's that. But yeah, it's a mountain out of a molehill, in my opinion. It probably happened. Probably English guy came and wore a philibeg. I don't think he was the only one. I don't think he was an innovator. And it's certainly not the Scots were not like saying, this Englishman has given us a great idea. You know, how about that? Let's all start drinking tea also. No, it was, they're already
Maybe
drinking
change
tea.
our accent. Worst Highland
The
accent.
Articles of Union aren't such a bad idea after all.
Bully, bully!
Yes, jolly good. Tally ho.
We're getting worse, not better.
I have English ancestry too. I can pick on them. So yeah, but it's an interesting anecdote, but it's just an anecdote. It's not really how he wasn't responsible for the clothing evolving. It was just evolving. You know, times were changing and people had different ideas of what were good options. And there's one thing about the Scots is they like options.
Yeah, it's practical,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes up, it doesn't matter to some degree, it doesn't matter who came up with an idea. Who as a people are less practical or more practical than the Scots. Like literally, it is a practical idea. So when you see a good idea, it doesn't matter who came up with the idea. If it's a good idea, you're going to do it. So whether it's an English guy or whether it's an Englishman in Scotland or whether it was someone else and the English guy got it from him, who cares? Ultimately, it's still a Scottish garment.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Bottom line.
Absolutely. Mr. Mac.
All right, we have Lewis on Facebook asking or saying that his graduation is next week.
Oh, cool.
He will be dressed in a
Congratulations.
semi-formal. We'll dress semi-formal in a vest and kilt.
Okay.
The event is early morning. So is that too early in the day to be wearing a dress sporran?
For graduation?
For semi-formal, yes.
Yeah.
If he's just wearing a vest
If he's just
and a
wearing
kilt
a vest,
and a dress shirt, yeah, bagpipers do it, and it's fine-ish. It's kind of a gray area.
he'll get away with it. You'll get away with it because people are just going to think you look awesome in general. You know, I mean, unless your graduation is in Edinburgh or something, but I'm assuming we're stateside. So, yeah, I mean, I would normally say that it's not something you should do at all. Dress sporrans are supposed to be after 6, but people are bending that rule more and more these days, especially with some of the more toned down dress sporrans, which are becoming popular as a result of the current trends in the wedding
Tweed.
wedding industry. So yeah, I mean, if it's not like a huge, covers your lap kind of furry, crazy thing, if it's a more subdued dress sporran, you're probably gonna be fine. I definitely wouldn't say it's traditional. I wouldn't say it's common to do, but
That being said, it's
I don't want to rain on your parade, dude. I mean, it's your graduation, so
yeah.
it's
And if it's the only sporran you own, wear it. No one's going to care. No one's going to see it. You're wearing a gown over top of it anyway.
well, yeah. So that's my next question is if you have to wear a gown as part of the ceremony, then that kind of changes things too. So
Yeah, but it's not fully traditional, but it's not the end of the world. If you have a nice day sporran or a semi-dress sporran, that may be a little bit more appropriate. But it's not the end of the world if you wear a dress sporran.
yeah,
Indeed.
basically.
Mr. Mack, any others? Or no?
This one came up. We still have quite a few, which we will, if we don't get to them today, we'll obviously
I
put
want to
them
do
in.
one more.
We'll put it in the chain for down the road. Pip is asking, and that is coming from us from YouTube, why is there not a lining in a semi-traditional or in a PV kilt?
From us, I'm assuming he means our product. Okay.
There are a few reasons. One, the fabric is a little. It's a synthetic. It's polyester and rayon, or polyviscose, which is the fancy British word for rayon. It's polyester viscose blend. There's a couple reasons. One, the fabric doesn't distort as much. Mac, back me up on this as I'm kind of saying things. It doesn't distort as much when you're pulling across the fabric. 2, it's a cost-saving thing, period. 3, you want to be able to throw it in the washing machine and just, be done with it. And it doesn't really need it, per se. So ultimately, since it doesn't need it, and it is supposed to be a purposefully less expensive kilt than wool kilts. We try to keep the cost down. Part of that is not putting the lining in the semi-traditional kilt like we do in the 5-yarders and the 8-yarders. Any additional?
No, I wouldn't say there's anything. I mean, it really doesn't. You said it doesn't really need it.
Yeah.
There's no sense in adding an extra layer in there.
Helps keep it lightweight too. I mean,
Yes.
it is definitely supposed to be a lightweight, summer weight kind of a kilt.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of the lower end, I'll say this, a lot of the lower end kilts, meaning, like acrylic and things coming from overseas, they have linings, but they literally serve no purpose. And some of them are actually hurting the kilt. I remember the one that we got for our Cash for Clunkers program way back when. One of the kilts we got in from Pakistan had the lining sewn in the back, and it was actually not sewn as a band across the back of the kilt, but it was actually sewn in like as a semicircle, and it was tacked down, and it went all the way down the back of the kilt to like that far above the bottom of the pleats, and it stopped the pleats from moving. Like, it was just poorly designed. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it doesn't really need it. So if it's not necessary, then why just throw it in just for the sake of throwing it in, just to say it has a lining? It doesn't matter.
Didn't we see one once where they had glued the kilt together and they used the lining basically to cover where they're gluing it? Like they used stitch witchery or something, and
Yeah.
like the
No,
pleats
that's
were like glued together.
The one company in Scotland that mass produces kilts, they use a fusible lining.
Fusible lining,
Instead of
okay.
the hand sewn horsehair canvas on the inside, they actually just take fusible lining. They take the big clamshell. They spread the kilt out. It's done well, but they just take fusible lining and iron that in and steam it into place.
Yeah.
That way they don't have to spend all the time actually hand sewing the inside of the kilt, which saves time, which saves money. And it's not bad, except for 5 years later, after you've dry cleaned the kilt, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and those chemicals kind of break down the glues, then it starts to, it comes detached from the kilt. And at that point, you don't have anything supporting the internal structure of the kilt. So it ends up just kind of getting floppy and misshapen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you do things the right way.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers the question, though.
Yeah. All right. One more. I don't like to end on a product.
Just one more. Just one more.
Been here for 2
let's
hours.
see.
Doing 15 minutes.
Yeah, but we had a break.
It's true.
We had a 8-minute break or whatever.
We need more scotch.
Okay, we got Chuck on YouTube.
Matt's like, all right,
Matt's
then.
like, all right, you asked
All
for
right,
it.
here you go. I mean,
I'm gonna hurt you now, boy.
There's a few in here that I think will some of them go together, some of them don't. But do you find socks warm enough when winter kilting?
Socks.
So I'm assuming what he means is different kilt hose. Is there particular kilt hose that work better in winter than there are in than others? So like.
Sure. My patent answer is the best answer for this one, which is when you're wearing a kilt in cold weather, what you're wearing on the top of your head and your torso will matter much more than what you are wearing on your legs. Your toes may get cold, but your blood flow and your heat retention start in your head and your torso. So if you're going to be outside, and you have to walk for a little bit outside in cold weather, then make sure you're wearing a jacket, make sure you're wearing a hat. If you're just walking around inside, you're in a room temperature kind of room anyway. I don't know a lot of people running around outdoors in the winter for massive amounts of time in a kilt. And if you are,
I know guys who hunt in a kilt. But
fair, but at that point, it's like kilts are kind of like wearing shorts. So it's always going to be colder. There's a breeze. So it's there are some pairs of kilt hose which are going to be warmer than others. For instance, Lewis hose or the hand knit kilt hose are going to be a little bit warmer than others. The other thing I would say is potentially, if you're going to be out for a while, maybe wearing a pair of thinner cotton crew socks underneath your kilt hose. 2 layers.
That's one layer. That's one option.
It's going to add thickness to your shoes. But
yeah, I'd say basically kilt hose in general are going to be better than any other regular socks in terms of like modern socks. I would say that the higher the wool content, the better off you'll be in the winter. I definitely like my hand knits when it's really, really cold out and I want to go for a hike or something. That's my go-to. I will definitely go for the hand knits. Thank you for giving me the extra pairs, by the way.
Or the Lewis hose.
The Lewis hose are
They're
good
a little
because
bit
they're
thicker as well.
a little thicker and they have a pretty good wool content.
Yep.
Wool, natural fiber, it breathes and it will keep you warm even if it gets wet. So that's really what you want. So other than that, yeah, a little thicker hose are good in the wintertime. I could see if I was going to be inside, maybe having the cotton socks as a layering thing. If I was going in and out, like if working in the warehouse, maybe. But if you're outside and you're going to be working at all, building up any kind of a sweat, I don't think you want the cotton there between you and the wool. You want the wool to be able to wick the sweat away from your feet.
Yeah. But at the same,
that's my take on it. At least.
But again, the headwear and the
Yeah.
jacket matter infinitely more.
Oh yeah, you're talking about overall body. I'm talking about like if he's got cold feet.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think if you're out in the snow, then a nice pair of hand knits is really awesome. It's just nice,
Agreed.
comfy. It just feels right. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Mack, do you have anything burning? Best question of the day, top question, a lot of pressure. If no, I'm going to Eric. Mr. Eric.
Let's see what Eric got.
Oh, okay. I'll just put
Put
my clipboard down.
I know we got to get that list a little bit more, so I want to
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I said, I
We're
think
not ignoring the live
we're
people.
gonna-
We're going to save the rest of the questions, and then we're going to add them to this list, which we will
I
get
think we should
infinitely longer.
totally do a rapid fire episode sometime. Okay.
I don't know if that could be rapid is the problem.
Okay, marathon. We'll do like an 8-hour show. How's that sound?
Better get more bottles.
A, we need a lot of scotch. B, the beginning of the show is going to be infinitely better than the end of the show. C, I pity the poor fool who wants to hear me ramble on for 8 friggin' hours.
Right on. Okay. Christopher Ryan was asking us, is there a difference between, or what are the differences between regular box pleats and military box pleats? He was about to get a USMC tartan kilt, and so it got him thinking about military-style kilts versus regular kilts, if there is any kind of a difference. But how do military box pleats work? Is it a thing?
Yes, a military box pleat is still a box pleat. It is a type of box pleat. A box pleat just basically means that the pleat has 2 knife edges. A traditional 8-yard kilt typically is knife pleated, meaning all the pleats go the same direction. The knives, the edge of each pleat, all goes effectively counterclockwise around the body as you look down at yourself. In a box pleat, each pleat has 2 edges to it. In a regular box pleat, there aren't really official terms. People have kind of globbed onto the term military box pleat, but it's still a box pleat.
Okay.
In a regular box pleat, the pleats are about, let's say, 2 inches wide, and each one tucks in either direction on either side. So there's 2 edges going opposite directions. And then inside the depth, they kind of meet the same way inside the back. And we'll have to draw some kind of graphic on this.
Yeah, we'll show
afterwards.
graphics. Yeah.
For a military box pleat, and I'm using my finger quotes, the pleats, and box pleated kilts are typically about 4 yards,
Right.
4.5
Right.
yards.
Less yardage in a box
Exactly,
pleat.
because you're stacking up fabric, and it needs to match up in the back as well as in the front. For a military box pleat, as it's kind of been, through wanton usage, been called now, the face of the pleat is 1 inch, so the depth of the pleat is going to be 3.5, 4 inches. If you have 3.5 or 4 inches going one way on an inch face, the other side can only physically be 1 inch deep until it hits that fold, go the other side of the other knife, go in the other direction. So the pleats go both directions, but one side is 1 inch deep, the other side is, let's say 3 inches deep. And that goes around the entire kilt. It is much more difficult to do from a kilt making perspective. A lot of companies will actually baste in each one before ironing them, because ironing is the real pain in the butt. Self-censoring there. But ironing the kilts is the real pain in the butt when it comes to box-pleated kilts, whether military or otherwise. But that's the main difference. In a military box pleat, the face of the pleat is going to be 1 inch or less, and one side is much, much deeper than the other. In a regular 4-yard box pleat kilt, the pleats are going to be about 2 inches wide, and both depths are effectively the same, and they just basically touch in the middle of the back. They don't overlap, really.
Okay.
Mac, do you have anything to add to that from a kilt maker perspective?
No, I was looking at the old graphic that we used to have, and I don't know if we'll use that one or another one. Yeah, it's just
It's a mess.
Box pleats are they're tough in the aspect of just ironing them and getting them ironed straight and even is. And you mentioned about basting them, but yeah, that's probably our biggest struggle with them.
And the biggest, even bigger than that, looking beyond the actual manufacturing, the bigger problem that the owner has is when you go to get that cleaned, the dry cleaner will screw it up. He will put in knife pleats and will destroy the box pleating.
Oh.
They won't sit there and baste every pleat. They're going to basically they're not going to know what happened. It's going to come out of the dry cleaning machine, and they're just going through their normal process of getting things cleaned and ironed and pressed as quickly as possible and out the door. They're going to put it in a clamshell and see, okay, well, the stripe's supposed to be here. The majority of the depth goes this way, and they're going to just kind of press it the best they can and call it done and hand it to you. So a lot of times I've seen multiple military box pleat kilts that have come to us, and someone says literally like, hey, can you fix this? The dry cleaner royally screwed it up because they don't want to baste it. They just want to get it in and out and done for their $12 or $5 charge that they're charging you just to get it through the process. And they're not used to that kind of thing with that level of detail. So I don't like creating military box pleated kilts because they're a pain in the butt. And ultimately, as a customer, you're probably going to have issues with them in the long run because not many people know how to treat them and clean them and re-iron them when they need to be touched up.
Right.
So.
But military box pleats are not military? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a military.
Or it was a military thing?
It's the way that some regiments within the British military had their kilts pleated. Not everyone was done like that.
Okay.
Some of them were knife pleated, some of them weren't.
Gotcha.
There's no hard and fast rule of everyone exactly like this. What I'm saying is it's a different style of box pleat from a traditional 4-yard box pleated kilt.
Right.
So people generally recognize that it's not the same thing because it's not 2-inch wide pleats and they're deeper in the depth of the pleat. So they figured, okay, it's not a box pleat, so we have to call it something else. Okay. So it is done
Since they knew some
for the
regiments
military.
Used it, they used
so we call
that
it
term.
a military box plate to
see.
differentiate it from a regular. Both are box pleats. So it's a type of box plate. It's a subset of a subset.
Okay.
Makes sense? Mac, am I militarily speaking?
Yeah, no, I mean, you also see it called as a rolled pleat. You see it.
Rolled pleat's different because you don't iron it.
Yeah,
really.
But you do see that term intermittent used back and forth between military box and rolled.
Yeah,
you do see that a lot, at least from the aspect of an historical line of trying to do, trying to recreate something. Like with my World War I reenacting, like we definitely get into the arguments or the discussions of, well, this unit had this. Well, no, because you have different contractors, and each contractor does it a certain way.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
So you see within one unit, you see a variety of different things, and we actually had the Blackwatch Museum in Perth verify that. We were able to talk to one of the curators there, and it was, he said, I got 3 kilts from the same unit, all the same time period, and all 3 of them were different.
Mm-hmm.
That's the level of detail we provide you. Is actually calling the Blackwatch Museum, getting a hold of the curator, and verifying the information independently.
God, they
to
hate
make
us
sure
so
we're
much
correct.
now. Man.
Yes.
Oh,
that's
those
the
USA
level we
Kilts
go
guys
to.
again. Yeah.
Like, lose our number, buddy. No. All right. Thank you, boys and girls, for sticking with us.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed watching our idiocy, buffoonery, all that. I hope you learned something for the Tartans. I hope you learned that Mac was faster than me. And I will dock his pay later on. Anyway, until next time, boys and girls. Slanjava.